Good evening. It's the top of the hour. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in as we're going to spend some time there in Washington, D.C. We're going to see the Commander-in-Chief for yet another time today, as it's just a Tuesday in April. But I'll tell you, it's been nearly 80 days that President Trump has been in office, and it seems as if executive orders are being signed at least every other day. There are speeches, there are press conferences. There is a lot of great things happening at that White House, but also within the cabinet, as you guys see all across this country, as we have people like Kristi Noem with DHS on a number of these raids with the actual people within the Department of Homeland Security. So we're seeing a lot of great things happen here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have a couple live interviews coming up for you as well, as the president will be speaking at the National Republican Congressional Committee dinner. We'll bring you that live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All of this brought to you by a number of great sponsors, including Colonial Metals Group. All you do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN, get more information on gold and silver as a great backup plan for the dollar. At the end of the day, we want Maganomics to continue to increase. We want to be wealthy again. We want to have the prices of everything lower, even lower than they are now. And thanks to President Trump and the team for doing that. But we're looking for even lower prices. And as we're waiting to see all that happen, having gold and silver as a backup still, regardless, with your savings, your retirement, you can do that through Colonial Metals Group. So just go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. All right, so it's just past the top of the hour, 6:01, Tuesday, April 8th. You see the beautiful White House right there. You also see something that you didn't see over the winter time, a lot of green. So it's nice to see that as we are awaiting the president in just a little bit. We'll see him deliver those remarks at that NRCC dinner. Okay, so here are some of the headlines that we're looking at right now. President Trump signed a number of executive orders. If you just watched our broadcast, our recent live stream, all to make America energy independent again, specifically protecting American energy from state overreach, strengthening the reliability and security of the United States electric grid, along with boosting American energy, including, of course, the beautiful, clean coal that President Trump talked about earlier today. Quite some pretty cool moments there, as well as one of the people that work in energy, a coal miner, was speaking at the podium there and using a letter or using his notes, of course, and President Trump signing that document there, signing the notes that the coal miner was using. Pretty cool moment. Usually the president's just going to sign the executive order, but instead he signed that. He also signed the executive orders, and then he gave a bunch of the pens to Everyday America right there, as we saw that. Something that, as an American myself, it's great to see President Trump always highlighting just everyday America. If you're not in politics, and if you're not known, or if you're not a so-called celebrity on the left, or if you're not someone that's known in conservative media or whatever, even if you are or aren't, doesn't matter. The point is, it's not about being a patriot celebrity. It's about simply we the people, all of us working together, getting the job done as a team moving forward. And we saw that today with President Trump and the coal miners there and people that work in energy. Pretty awesome moment. So if you missed any of that, maybe after this broadcast, you can check that speech out as well. That just happened about an hour and a half ago. So some other headlines that we're following. According to the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, the president has a number of upcoming foreign leaders arriving to the White House. April 14th, President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador will visit the White House. Then on April 17th, just a few days later, the Italian president, Giorgia Meloni, will be at the White House. Earlier today, President Trump also on Truth Social speaking about the Supreme Court, saying, quote, "The Supreme Court has upheld the rule of law in our nation by allowing a president, whoever that may be, to be able to secure our borders and protect our families and our country itself. A great day for justice in America." That from the president a bit earlier today on Truth Social. According to the White House, since Liberation Day, April 2nd, of course, nearly 70 countries have contacted the White House to negotiate better trade deals. 70 nations hurried up, got on the phone and said, okay, what do we have to do? We know that we've been charging way more than you've been charging us. We have to have an equal playing field when it comes to this, especially finances and in business. So 70 countries, nearly 70 countries, according to the White House, have contacted the administration to negotiate better deals in trade. Also, President Trump earlier today saying that the United States is taking in, get this, $2 billion per day in tariffs. Right now, the White House, this country, we as a people, our government is taking in $2 billion per day in tariffs. So we'll see how that number may increase now that we're getting a lot more of an even playing field, which, again, President Trump saying will make our country rich, which will hopefully make all these prices go down. Hopefully, some of these taxes that are all over the place, hopefully some of those would be abolished. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but at the end of the day, April 15th, we still have to pay our taxes. We get that. So we'll see how that goes with that. Also, as for China, they're currently not playing ball, as you guys may have heard. So President Trump has said, you know what, I'm increasing tariffs to 104% on Chinese imports. So more than 100%. So 104%. It's increased to that now, since China won't, play fair when it comes to the tariffs. In other news, we're hearing from the White House that there has been a horrible yet incredible discovery by DOGE. I have no idea what that means, and nobody does either. Carolyn Levitt was asked about that today. The details are forthcoming on that. She said she's not going to get ahead of the president, so we'll see what that means, hopefully in the near future. A horrible yet incredible discovery by DOGE. So we'll hear from the president, I'm sure. I would think, now that the cat's out of the bag like that, sometime this week we would hear about those details. Again, no details have been released. We'll monitor the situation, of course, and bring you more information as we get it. So joining us soon live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network will be two interviews. We have one at any minute, and then one around 6:15. Ike Wingate, a conservative host who's doing a great job out there, will join us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network to talk about all of the things that he's been taking care of when it comes to keeping that narrative on the right side of history. There's so many topics to talk about. There's so many things going on in this country, and we're seeing a lot of positive net gains. We're seeing a lot of great things happen. But we know that President Trump has been in office for nearly 80 days, to be exact, 78 days. And we know it's pedal to the metal. And when I was in San Antonio over the past few days for the Final Four there, of course, RSBN from Auburn, Alabama, rooting on our home team, the Auburn Tigers, who of course fell to the Florida Gators, who won the championship yesterday. So congrats to the SEC Florida Gators on that. It was a tough loss for Auburn, of course. But at that game, I ran into a Dallas, Texas businessman that, let's just say he's very successful, ran into some people there. And he said, a supporter of President Trump, that this country is at a tipping point and that the time is right now to save our country. And you think about it, it's like, well, President Trump's in office, our country's saved. And even President Trump and others have said, we're saving our country, we're getting that progress, we're getting this done. So we're seeing it day by day. As 78 days ago, President Trump was sworn in at the U.S. Capitol building rotunda. But still, it's going to be pedal to the metal all the way through. We have to win the midterm elections. I'm sure President Trump, this is without any knowledge from the White House, I believe he would be at some rallies for various people come 2026 for some of those midterms. And also when it comes to law and order and justice to be served to people that have broken the law, because at the end of the day, 2028, 2029, we have to have someone in office on the right side of history. But if for some reason we wouldn't, how bad would it get in this country? But if the people that have done illegal things are taken care of in the sense of a prosecution, if they've committed an illegal act, then maybe not so bad if the other side somehow wins in 28, 29. I know that's looking way far ahead, but I was speaking to a buddy the other day and he brought up that information, and I thought it was pretty interesting insight on just the time is now to save our country. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, as we see each and every day, whether it's in energy, whether it's in law and order, whether it's our constitutional rights, whether it's deporting illegal immigrants, especially criminals, we're seeing those wins. And we know President Trump remembers everything that happened over the past 4 years under Joe Biden. So pedal to the metal as we continue on here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's go to angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas, of course. Angel Paste, there you go. You see the product. There's also other products on there as well. If you'd like to use the RSBN promo code, you'll get a percentage off. Great products right there, angelpaste.com, a great sponsor at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so we've been seeing a lot of those Tesla protests out there. I saw the other day that the conservative artist Forgiato Blow was out there with Benny Johnson, the Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida, of course, gubernatorial candidate of Florida, and they were interacting with some of the people out there. And it's just, you can hear the actual content of what some of the so-called Tesla woke mob virus types were talking about, and it made really no sense. And when they didn't have an answer, they would just go to some extreme answer. And the thing that I keep hearing, and I heard it from Robert McNeely today too, and I've heard it from a number of people, that this is like an 80-20 thing that's going on in our country. I heard it, I think, from the vice president as well on a different event, but the point is 80-20. 80% of this nation is definitely not into that woke, extreme, radical mind virus situation. About 20% are, but the thing is that 20% is that extreme left. There are a number of Democrats that aren't even in that 20 percentile. But we know that a majority of the country voted for President Trump. So there's that 80-20. So just to kind of keep that perspective. And how do I know it's 80-20? Well, we look at a number of the polls that are out there that 76% of Americans say this about no men and women's sports, or 80% say that. And then on top of that, this is my opinion here speaking, but when we look at what we see around the country, we know there's just a lot of problems going on when it comes to just these Tesla protests and that kind of thing. But it's not the majority of the nation like the media wants us to treat it as such. So, of course, sticking to the truth, sticking to the correct narrative. And speaking of somebody that does that, of course, Right Side Broadcasting Network, we do that here. Conservative host Ike Wingate is joining us right now. Sir, I mean, it's Tuesday, April 8th. It's 78 days into this second administration for President Trump. What's your overall assessment, and what do you think needs to be done moving forward?
It's lightning speed, Matthew. That's really what I've observed, and I've said this before as well, as this is the first time I've come away thinking, wow, government can move quickly. All this time I thought, private sector business was where things got done quickly, but the Trump administration has proved that it can be done if the will is there. And that is certainly something that I've come away with understanding, is that the Trump administration is moving very quickly right now because we're so recent from the election, and the will of the people is 100% behind him for those who voted for him. But I think he's won over some additional people. I was recently looking at a CNN poll that said that 53% of people in America believe that Donald Trump has the right amount of power, despite the liberal media trying to tell us he's acting like a king. And they actually threw out this statistic of 111 executive orders so far, which has not happened up until this point in a presidency for over 100 years. So it truly is historical what the Trump administration is doing. But what is boggling the mind right now to me is what they're trying to do to destroy people like Elon Musk, who are trying to save Social Security, yet they are presenting him as, again and again, trying to destroy it. And that just couldn't be further from the truth when you see some of the things that they have uncovered and are ridding out as far as waste, fraud, and abuse, and a lot of fraud at that.
Exactly. And so when you look at CNN, MSNBC, and you see some of these left-leaning newspapers, which is almost a majority of them, it seems that the people that are out there doing these Tesla protests, or anybody that's into communism or Marxism and all that, they're just repeating the lines that they see on the news media. They go out there and they think that they've got something, but it's really that few of the fake news. So do you think that the American people overall, they've already woken up and they're on the conservative media now, right?
I think so, and I think that's the big indicator here with this election, because the legacy media, lamestream media, whatever you want to call them, have been peddling this idea of Trump and who he really is, they say, and it just fell flat during this election. We saw it in the election results. We saw it in the use of these different new media types, RSBN being one of those, that people are tired of being lied to. They woke up, as you said, and I've said this a few times, for all the bad things that happened during COVID, one of the, I think, great things for this country is it threw down the veil for a lot of people to say, wait a minute, not everything they're telling us is true. And I think a lot of people have looked into additional sources of information. And I hear it again and again, almost on a weekly basis. I used to think this, I used to think that. And now I see clearly that we've been lied to. And so the media really has lost their hold. And they are, in many cases, floundering to try to peddle these lies. And it makes them look worse and worse and worse because they don't really try anything new, Matthew. They go back to the same playbook again and again. And to your point, this really is a communist playbook. What you do is you destroy someone's character by accusing them of something, and you repeat the lie over and over and over. And then the people that are low information or not informed buy it, hook, line, and sinker. But there are less and less of those people, I believe, that are low information. More and more people are seeking out additional information sources and are waking up to the fact that they are being lied to repeatedly.
Exactly. And case in point, you look at the White House, you look at the new media there, the amount of conservative media being allowed into that press briefing room and having live shots outside of the White House there where they're able to report live with the White House behind them, something that wouldn't have happened under any other president that we've had so far, it seems. I know maybe Ronald Reagan would have liked that, but, conservative media wasn't a big thing then. It was just the legacy big-time networks. Well, the big-time networks are not big-time anymore, in my opinion, and I believe you agree with me on that. Now, let's shift gears a little bit to some of the things that you're working on for your show, the Ike Wingate show. I saw something the other day about the illegal immigration and the southern border and a number of other topics. So what's really on your radar right now for the American people to know?
Well, the southern border, the northern border too, for that matter, have been a problem. A lot of times, we look at the northern border, Canada, and say, well, it's not that bad. They're pretty nice people. Well, the fentanyl has definitely been coming over from the northern border, and you see this deflection a lot of times in the mainstream media. Well, it's only 1% of the fentanyl that's seized, coming across the southern border. It's enough to kill 15 million people in the last year, so it is something that we need to be concerned about. And, you look at Trudeau and the fight he was willing to go down and lose fighting over the border. And it relates to fentanyl, but it also relates to illegal immigration. And that certainly is a problem with the northern border because a lot of these hostile countries, Muslim majority countries that are, against the United States and what it stands for, are more easily able to get into Canada and use it as sort of a staging ground and then illegally enter over the northern border from Canada. So people saying that Donald Trump is just picking a fight for picking a fight's sake with Canada are wrong because it really is a problem. And if it wasn't a problem, then why didn't Trudeau say, okay, you can have whatever you need at the northern border? Now, he did capitulate eventually, but that is certainly a problem. And we've been uncovering that, talking about the authorization of military force at the border to handle logistics and other things, as well as the designation of these transnational gangs as terrorist organizations, which opens up an entire toolbox to be able to go after these folks on U.S. soil with special forces like Green Berets or Navy SEALs. So we've worked on that. We've also worked on quite a bit of whistleblower stories related to the military specifically, and you're seeing people come forward now because they feel they are safe. Before they were not. When Biden was in charge, Secretary Austin, General Milley, they didn't feel like they had the ability to be able to come forward and tell the truth. So we've had multiple whistleblowers now come forward first about the Abbey Gate disaster and the fact that General Milley knew about the intelligence that the country was going to collapse and the Taliban was going to take over. Yet he came out to media and lied about it continually. A whistleblower who had direct knowledge said, no, he knew about it. He knew about the intelligence for months and then decided to lie and not take action. But the other side of that, Matthew, is the focus during the 6 months after the Biden regime was set to take over prior to the intended Afghanistan withdrawal date. The focus was on a few things. The COVID vax, making sure every military member received the COVID vax. It was focused on this extremism training from January 6th, making sure our service members weren't going to do anything extreme. And then the third thing, of course, as you can imagine, was DEI. In fact, we talked to a whistleblower last week that received a less than honorable discharge, kicked out of the military essentially stripped of his security clearance because he did not want to take the COVID vax and he wouldn't participate in a lot of these trans celebrations and Pride Month going on inside the Office of Naval Intelligence. And in fact, the last thing I'll tell you on that is he told me that you couldn't find an American flag in the skiff, but you could sure find plenty of trans flags. And so that is the environment that a lot of these folks are trying to mitigate going forward. They're trying to get justice now as well because their lives were ruined. This young man can't even get a job now because of the way he was discharged simply for expressing his First Amendment right. So I think you have a lot of military right now in our country that were wronged, that are willing to come forward. The question is, will justice be served? What will be done to sort of correct the damage in their lives? Because these people are willing to put their lives on the line for freedom, and they shouldn't be treated like this. And when you talk about the Gold Star families after the Afghanistan withdrawal, they were treated horribly by President Biden. He treated them so terribly. Obviously, we know he looked at his watch and he was allegedly on the plane taking a nap, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. So on my Substack, we cover a lot of these things. It's ikereport.substack.com if people are interested. But I do have to warn you, you start hearing these things and you start to get pretty angry because no one deserves this, much less our military.
100%. And it's great to see President Trump standing up for the United States of America and we the people. Ike Wingate, thank you, sir, for joining us right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
All right, so it's 6/22, Tuesday, April 8th. Of course, Ike Wingate doing some great work as a conservative journalist there and on various networks doing awesome. So it's great to see that because that's what we need. We need more of us out there doing the great work of the right side of history, reporting common sense, reporting truth, uncovering things that are happening out there. So wonderful to see that as it's 6:22. Once again, you're looking live at the White House right now as we get ready to get to the program there for the NRCC dinner. President Trump will be speaking there shortly, and we'll have a live feed hopefully in just a bit. We'll be there in just a minute as it's 6:22 Eastern Time. All right, let's go over some of the latest news that we're following here. Earlier today, of course, President Trump signed a number of executive orders, all to make America energy independent again, specifically protecting American energy from state overreach, and also strengthening the reliability and security of the United States electric grid. As we take a live look at the podium there, this is again for the National Republican Congressional Committee dinner. So President Trump to be at that podium sharing a speech and delivering remarks to the Republicans there, the National Republican Congressional Committee. And we'll bring you that live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as it's about 6:23 now here. Checking the time a lot because I know that it's about 6:35 to 6:45 we may be seeing the president. So it'll be great to see him as soon as we do. We'll go there live. Meantime, again, some of the latest headlines that we're following right now as you see the podium there with the presidential seal, which means if the seal's already on the podium, that we're only a few minutes away from President Trump. So again, strengthening the reliability and security of the United States electric grid. That's one of the executive orders that President Trump signed. He is also looking to boost American energy, the United States energy, including beautiful, clean coal. We heard him talk about that today at that event. Again, as for the upcoming presidential schedule, on April 14th, according to White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, will be at the White House. Then just a few days later, on April 17th, the Italian prime minister, the president actually, Giorgia Meloni, will be at the White House as well. So two foreign leaders in just a few days will be at the White House. According to the White House, since Liberation Day, April 2nd, of course, nearly 70 countries have contacted the White House to negotiate better trade deals. So nearly 70 countries have gotten on the phone and said, okay, what do we have to do? Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get on the same page here. The president speaking earlier today saying that per day, $2 billion in tariffs are being received by the United States. $2 billion per day. That's a part of making America wealthy again. We see that right there. As for China, to review some of the headlines from earlier, they're currently, of course, not playing ball. So right now, when it comes to the trade deals, there are none. with China at this point. So President Trump has increased tariffs upwards to 104%. In other news, we're hearing from the White House that there has been a horrible yet incredible find and discovery made by Doge. No details, though. That was kind of a tease from earlier today at the White House press briefing. So Carolyn Leavitt saying she's not getting ahead of the president, so we'll wait for the president to disclose that information, or maybe Elon and President Trump. All right, so again, we may have a interview lined up right now on the fly here, a little bit of live television. Let me send this link over as we continue on. Why don't we do this? Let's go to a commercial break. We'll have an interview on the other side of this break. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Good evening. Welcome to the 2025 President's Dinner with President Donald J. Trump. To my colleagues, our friends in the Trump administration, our generous donors, and the staff, families, and friends who make it all happen, you are the reason we're winning, and it is an honor to stand with you tonight. You're not just at another dinner. You're here because you believe in something bigger. We're on a mission to defend freedom, unleash opportunity, and show the world that America's best days are ahead thanks to President Donald J. Trump. All of you represent the engine of the America First movement. You refuse to sit on the sidelines while our country hangs in the balance. You're here because you know what's at stake and you are ready to fight. Now let me take a moment to recognize some of our special guests who are with us here tonight. We have several American heroes, thanks to our Foreign Affairs Chairman, the great Brian Mast of Florida. He's arranged for several veterans of our nation's military to be here in attendance. Gentlemen, thank you for your service and your sacrifice for this country. In fact, if you're a veteran or an active duty, please stand so we can recognize you and thank you for your service. Next, I want to thank our leaders who are helping drive this mission forward. Our conference chair, Lisa McClain. Our whip, Tom Emmer. Leader, Steve Scalise. And our speaker, Mike Johnson. You've unified this conference, and you've reminded the country what conservative leadership looks like. Thank you for your great leadership. Thank you for keeping us laser focused on delivering Donald Trump's agenda. And of course, later this evening, we're all going to hear from the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And Mr. President, welcome back. Thank you for your fearless leadership, your love for this country, and your unshakable commitment to putting the American people first. You've challenged the status quo. You've started rebuilding our economy. You've stood strong on the world stage. And now you're back to finish the job. And House Republicans, we're proud to be on your team. We are ready to work with Donald J. Trump to make America great again. In 2024, folks, we beat the narrative back. We brought back President Trump, we flipped the Senate, and we held our House majority. And now we're going on offense. We're building a movement, folks, one rooted in common sense, rooted in hard work, in faith, in freedom. And everywhere we go, we're seeing something the Democrats have long since lost, and that's hope. Hope that the American dream is not fading. It's just getting started. Hope that our kids will inherit a country that's safer, that's stronger, that's freer than the one we grew up in. Hope this nation founded on liberty, built by patriots, will once again lead the world by example. That's the spirit we're carrying into 2026. The Democrats have no message, no vision, and no leadership. And while we're fighting to lower costs, to secure the border, to back law enforcement, and to give parents a say in their kids' education, Democrats, they're obsessing over pronouns, plastic straws, and progressive talking points. While we're fighting for Main Street, they're still bowing to the far left fringe. And while President Trump is restoring America's strength at home and abroad, Democrats are clinging to their broken playbook of weakness and wokeness. From small-town diners to union halls to border communities, we are expanding this movement with candidates who look like America and who will fight for America. That's veterans, it's first responders, it's entrepreneurs, it's moms and dads, fighters who know what it means to serve, what it means to sacrifice, and what it means to lead. And that's what you're fueling. That's why tonight matters. You're investing in the fight for this country, and I can't thank you enough. So please keep showing up, keep believing, keep donating. They say don't give till it hurts. If you keep giving till it feels good. What we do today and in the 2026 election will decide what kind of country we leave for our children and our grandchildren. We're not just defending a House majority, we are defending the American dream. But the left isn't going to go away quietly. They've got millions of dollars in dark money, and they have the media on their side. We need backup, and our backup comes from all of you. Thank you to everyone in this room. I'm proud to announce that because of your hard work, because of your treasure that you've put into this fight, with only 4 weeks to put this dinner together, we've shattered all the records. We raised $35.2 million tonight. Thank you. That's $35.2 million to grow our majority and to fight for President Trump's agenda. I'm overwhelmed by your support. So let's defend our majority, let's fight for working families, let's back President Trump, and let's finish the job. God bless you, God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States. Thank you. Thank you.
Less conversation, a little more action, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of the House Republican Conference, Lisa McClain.
To get my stool out. I may be little, but I play big. And I don't know about you guys, but I am so excited to be here tonight. So good evening and welcome. And thank all of you for all you do to defend our Republican majority. Keep growing the majority does not happen without each and every one of your support. I want to especially thank the NRCC Chairman, Richard Hudson, and his team for all the incredible work they did to make tonight possible. Now, what we have done in the first 3 months of this Congress is actually remarkable. And you are a major part of what we are doing to make America great again. The 2 seats that we held last week in Florida are proof that the Republican Party are proving the naysayers wrong. Now think about it for 1 minute. Democrats spent $20 million to lose 2 seats in Florida by double digits. 2 seats, they lost 20 grand. That's a victory for us. All the news cycles said, oh my goodness, Republicans are doomed. Seriously? Look around. Give me a break. The 2 members will help us continue to be on offense and continue our offensive efforts. I mean, we gave Tom Emmer a huge victory on his majority, increasing it with those 2 seats. Gone are the days of making the House Republicans play defense. We are actually making the Democrats own their votes. They are holding fake town halls, making fun of Governor Abbott, and even threatened to deport the First Lady and Elon Musk. The Democrats have no plan, no vision, and definitely no leader. Every day they become more out of touch, hell-bent on fighting personalities, not policies. And why? Because we know our policies are winning. We will keep calling them out for their deranged behavior, and boy, they have a lot of that. The Democrats' self-destruction started when President Trump actually announced his re-election. Their 2024 campaign was supposed to be a referendum on his policies, and the American people wholeheartedly endorsed President Trump's policies. They delivered every single swing state along with the popular vote. And Democrats are melting down as President Trump keeps every single promise that he has made. Like last week when he announced a historic change for our country. For far too long, America has been taken advantage of. President Trump made it clear that we will no longer put American workers at an unfair disadvantage. He is leveling the playing field with the tariffs. He is making countries come to the table, our table. He is making countries invest in our country. He will make America respected again. And even the latest jobs report shows that our economy is back on track. Additionally, thanks to the president and his all-star cabinet, illegal border crossings are down 94%. Remember when Biden said he needed legislation to get that done? No, we just needed the right president at the helm to do the job that the American people want him to do. And we have already deported over 100,000 illegal aliens. Now, while Democrats fight to protect murderers and rapists, the president is delivering on his promises to make America safe again by deporting violent criminals. And again, we signed the Lincoln-Riley Act to the president's desk. And you know what he did? That was the first bill that he signed in his second term. Thank you, Mike Collins, for bringing that piece of legislation to the floor in the House. Thank you, President Trump, for signing that bill. Thank you for Lincoln, and thank you for her family. For every family out there that has lost a loved one to illegal aliens who should have never been here to begin with, we will keep working with the president and his administration to deliver common sense wins. And gone are the days of biological men playing in biological women's sports. Gone are the days of the DEI in our military. Gone are the days of anti-Semitism on our college campuses. And we will deliver the mandate that 77 million Americans asked us to do. We will avoid the largest tax cut in American history. We will lower costs and make our country energy independent again. And unlike the Democrats, we know who our leader is. And that leader is President Donald J. Trump. He deserves the credit for expanding our tent. He deserves the credit for extending our base and expanding our brand. The Trump effect applies here too. President Trump has built some incredible coalitions. Black Americans, Arab Americans, Hispanic Americans. President Trump has proven that no matter your background, he wants you to become part of our party, to become part of our success story. And in closing, I again want to thank all of you that you have contributed. You believe in us. You've contributed your time and your resources to our cause. And as the president says, the golden age of America has only just begun. Our best days are still ahead of us, and I am confident that our president, our party, and our people are excited for what comes next. Thank you all, and enjoy your evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage your Republican Majority Whip, Tom Emmer.
Republicans, where are you? I know this is the cheap time. You get to hear from me, then you're going to get energy out of Steve Scalise, and you're going to get some energy out of our speaker, Mike Johnson. But guess what? The show is Donald J. Trump, so get ready. We're just the warm-up band, if you will. Good evening, everyone. I know we are all ready for an exciting night as we hear from our 45th and our 47th President, Donald J. Trump. President Trump has been working at breakneck speed to undo the damage Joe Biden and Kamala Harris inflicted on our country over the past 4 years. In less than 100 days, he has delivered win after win after win for the American people. From stopping the invasion at our southern border, to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government, and so much more. One thing is very clear. America is back. Yeah, you should clap for that. America is back. The best part is, we're just getting started. President Trump will renew the American dream and usher in our country's golden age, but he needs our help to make it happen. On November 5th, President Trump earned over 77 million Americans vote. And House Republicans, we earned over 74 million collectively. So what does that mean? That means there are over 2 million voters out there who are not Republican or Democrat voters. They are Trump voters. We have a historic opportunity over the next 18 months to bring them firmly into the Republican camp. And we do that by delivering on President Trump's America First agenda that they voted for in Congress. That means continuing the president's wildly successful tax policy so he can unleash economic prosperity and prevent a $5 trillion tax hike. It means giving the administration the tools it needs to carry out the largest deportation operation in American history to ensure there are no more stories like Laken Riley. It means empowering energy producers to drill, baby, drill, lowering prices for American families in the process. Yeah. It means strengthening the world's greatest fighting force to uphold President Trump's policy of peace through strength. This is how we will cement our majority's place in history and give us the message we need to take on the campaign trail next year. It's going to take every person in this room to get the job done. And I know that we will, because failure is simply not an option. President Trump is counting on us. The American people are counting on us. And our friends in this room and grassroots supporters across the country are counting on us. As we look to the next election cycle, we have to keep our eye on the ball. We cannot afford to be complacent. We have to outwork and out-fundraise Democrats. We are proud of the job Chairman Hudson did last cycle to protect our majority, and we're ready to continue working with him to not only protect it this time, but to grow our majority next year. Because President Trump must have a strong House Republican majority to work with for all 4 years of his term. We have already seen the lengths Democrats are willing to go to try and stop the president when they hold an ounce of power in Washington. We remember the sham impeachments and the investigations that started after the 2018 midterms, and we know better than to ever let that happen again. I'm proud to be a partner in this fight with all of you. Now let's go get it done. Thank you. God bless President Trump. God bless America, and God bless all of you. Have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your leader of the House Republican majority, Steve Scalise.
All right, settle down, people, settle down. We got a few things ahead of us. Wait till President Trump comes out. We've got the over-under. You know, if you got your bingo cards, it's going to be a fun night. But look, the first thing I want to say is thank each and every one of you for what you did, number one, to help us keep the House majority, and what you're doing to help us grow this majority next year. Now just think about it. It's not even been 3 months since Donald Trump took the oath of office. And what a difference 3 months makes. Just 3 months ago, the lunatics on the left said to save the planet, you've got to buy a Tesla. Today, the same lunatics on the left get a Molotov cocktail, light it on fire, and burn the Tesla. I thought they cared about carbon emissions. What about the carbon emissions? You could drive a diesel truck for 30 years and not emit as much carbon as lighting a Tesla on fire. These people have lost their mind. Now, the press says a lot right now about how the Democrat Party doesn't have a leader. Like most times, I beg to differ with the Washington press. The Democrat Party has leaders. Their names are AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett. Have you seen them? They are pushing the same Marxist ideology that brought people to the polls in record numbers to elect Donald Trump president. Not just winning the Electoral College, 77 million votes to win the popular vote, to run the table in all 7 swing states. The Democrats still won't admit why they lost, but we know. We ran on real issues. We said we were going to go to work day one if we had the House, Senate, and White House working for those families who were struggling under Joe Biden's policies. And what have we done? In just 3 months, we have already started fighting for those families. Border security was the #1 issue in America, and look at what happened. In less than 3 months, illegal crossings are down 95% because Donald Trump has done what he said he would do. If you look at energy production, and we're working on this one big beautiful bill, you're going to hear President Trump talk about that one big beautiful bill. This is the bill that will lock in tax rates so we don't have a massive tax hike, that will allow us to produce more energy, reversing all the crazy Biden far-left policies to shut down American energy. When you think about border security, yes, the president has already taken major steps to secure the border, but we still need to build the wall, and we're going to fund that in this bill. We're going to give our Border Patrol agents the tools they've been asking for years. Night vision goggles, drones, the things the drug cartels in Mexico has that we don't have. Why should the Mexican drug cartels have better technology and tools than our Border Patrol agents? That will change with House Republican leadership when we move this bill. And on top of that, just look at Elon Musk. I mean, the left wants to demonize Elon Musk. All Elon Musk is doing is identifying the waste, fraud, and abuse that we have all known has been out there in government. Tens of billions of dollars in every agency being wasted, thrown away. Stacey Abrams given $2 billion to do who knows what. But that's all changing. And what are the Democrats doing? You would think they would say, you know what? They got us on that one. We'll work with Trump and Elon to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. No, they are fighting that. There is a major party in America called the Democrat Party that is defending waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington. You can't make this stuff up. But it doesn't end there. We identified before the election that about 75% of federal workers in Washington weren't even showing up for work. You have to show up for work. Our constituents have to show up for work. Yet these bureaucrats were making over $100,000 a year, not showing up for their jobs, and the job wasn't getting done. And President Trump, day one, said, you better show up for work. Now, you don't have to, but if you don't, you lose your job. Well, man, lo and behold, they all started finding their workplace. Not to work, but to protest. Look, what we have done with this majority in just 3 months is only the beginning. When you see these policies start going into law, Trump's first week in office, we had the Lake and Riley bill on his desk. We're putting 2 more on his desk this week to reverse some of the crazy financial regulations. When we get this big bill on his desk to lock in tax rates, to produce more energy, to secure the border, to lock in Doge savings, and all the other things we're doing, including strengthening America's national defense. Watch what happens to the economy. And all the naysayers, the press will never be on our side. They'll never tout the wins. But this President Trump has come here on a mission. I got to work with President Trump in the first term, and everybody watching knows this. They see a president more focused. They see a president more resolved than ever before to fight for those families who worked hard, showed up at the polls, and said, we want Republicans in the House, Senate, and White House to save this great nation. We are just getting started. You've been there every step of the way with us. We're going to grow this majority. We just, by the way, got 2 more House Republicans last week. 2 elections in Florida. We won. Randy Fine and Jimmy Petronis are probably here tonight. Let's welcome our 2 new Republicans. We doubled our House majority. And think about this. I'm going to leave you on this note. Because a lot of you, when you're donating money, you wonder about your return on investment. I want to just tell you our return on investment versus the Democrats. Last week, the Democrats spent $22 million to lose those 2 seats in Florida by double digits. We spent less than $2 million to win those seats by double digits. That's a return on investment. That's why this is the best investment you can make in this House Republican majority. Let's keep growing, let's keep winning, and let's save the greatest country in the history of the world, the United States of America. God bless you. God bless our president. We're going to have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming the 56th Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Mike Johnson.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. What a great crowd. What an extraordinary setting. I love this building. It always reminds me of the sound of music. You know, it feels like we're in Austria or something. Really, really grateful to see all of you. I want to thank Chairman Richard Hudson. What a great leader he is for the NRCC and the entire team. Lot of gratitude to hand out tonight. I want to thank our entire House leadership team. I want to thank our extraordinary members. So many of them are joining us here tonight. And of course, most importantly, we want to thank all of you for making this possible this evening. This is a big one for us, and we shattered all the records, and I promise you we're going to be a good steward of those resources. We have a big job ahead of us. We truly have a lot to be grateful for tonight, a lot to celebrate. Not the least of which is this fact. I don't know if you've been following this, but we now officially have a 7-seat majority, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I know. Do the math, okay? It means that we can lose 3 votes now and still pass a bill. It's an embarrassment of riches, I tell you. This job is so easy. This is our first week with our 2 newest members, and they were mentioned earlier, but Jimmy Petronis and Randy Fine of Florida have joined us. Round of applause. And with these 2 great new members, we have gained our number again. We're back to 220 Republicans, and every single one of them are fired up to advance the people's business and to make America great again. Ladies and gentlemen, we simply would not be able to do this if it were not for 2 things. First, incredible support from leaders like all of you. And second, our 45th and our 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. That's a fact. Now, you all rolled your sleeves up this last cycle, and we worked around the clock to ensure that we kept the House majority. And because we all worked so hard, we secured a unified Republican trifecta in Washington. Everybody said we couldn't do it. My friends, I mean, up to the evening before the election, they were writing our epitaph. They said that the Republican majority would go by the wayside. They said there were too many Republicans in Democrat territory last cycle. The Democrats had too much money. They did raise a lot. They said the Democrats' redistricting was too much for us to overcome. But we didn't believe that. The leadership team and every member went to work. The NRCC refused to listen to all of that criticism. We got to work. We shored up our incumbents. We recruited incredible workhorses from coast to coast. Like so many of our members, I crisscrossed the country nonstop. I mean, almost literally every day we were not in session, I was on the road. I did over 360 campaign events, 250 cities in 40 states. I logged enough miles to circle the globe 5.5 times. That's a real statistic. Some of y'all know I was 4 inches taller when I became Speaker of the House. They beat me down mercilessly. But we all did that. All the members worked around the clock and overtime to get that done. And along with our partners at CLF, the Congressional Leadership Fund, my team, we raised $332 million in 11 months to be able to do that. And many of you wrote the checks to make that possible. Thank you for that. Thank you. So here's what happened, and you know, the reason we're here tonight, the reason we're celebrating what we have achieved and looking forward to the challenge ahead is because everybody got to work and made that happen. Our House Republicans defended our majority. We achieved the highest popular vote in history. And we flipped seats in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Colorado, and Alaska. And now we're enacting a bold America First agenda to deliver on that mandate. We hit the ground running since January 3rd. We've been very busy. You've been watching this day by day. We've been defying the odds. We've been making the critics be quiet. Just a small sample of the legislation we passed includes the Laken-Riley Act, which is to save lives from the Biden border crisis. The Illegitimate Court Counteraction Act to defend Israel. We passed the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. That's right. We passed the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act, the Halt Fentanyl Act, the Protecting American Energy Production Act, and our government funding bill that put the Democrats on record for supporting a government shutdown and actually ignited a civil war, a political civil war in their camp. Through it all, Republicans in Congress have stayed laser focused on advancing common sense, pro-growth policies. And the American people have taken note. Our party right now, my friends, enjoys record high levels of approval. And today, more Americans believe the country's on the right track than at any point in the last 20 years. That's a big thing. In the weeks ahead, we're going to continue to hammer out the budget reconciliation bill, which will be one of the most consequential pieces of legislation that Congress has passed in decades and perhaps in the history of the Congress. Republicans here are committed to delivering President Trump's full America First agenda with that one big, beautiful bill. I'm not going to do it in his voice, okay? We're going to make good on our promises. And what does that mean? We're going to secure the border. We're going to restore America's energy dominance. We're going to dismantle the deep state. We're going to grow our economy and reduce inflation. And we're going to turn America to peace through strength. House Republicans are moving full steam ahead to move the one big, beautiful bill across the finish line and onto the president's desk as quickly as possible. Through all this, we are also implementing our game plan for 2026. And this is what's important to everybody here. What you're investing in tonight is the plan that we're going to take into the field. Our work over just the past months has broken the Democrat Party. While we are at record high approval levels, they are at record lows. They're negative 9% net approval in their own party right now, the Democrats in Congress. Their ideas are radical, their agenda was rejected, and their chances at a majority in 2024 were soundly defeated. Now they have no leader, no message. They have no vision for the country other than to double down on their failed, terrible policies, and they're sending out their emerging new leaders, like AOC and Bernie Sanders. That's where they are, right? But we know that they will stop at nothing to get back in the majority in 2026. And if they were able to do that, my friends, heaven forbid, The president's agenda would come grinding to a halt after 2 years. We would see a return to open borders policies. We would see impeachments and corrupt lawfare resurrected. And we would see the largest tax increase in American history. We cannot allow that to happen, and the American people agree. And that's why tonight I have never been more confident and optimistic about the future of our party, our movement, and our country. The media loves to underestimate us. They love to be naysayers, but we have proven them wrong over and over again, and we will continue to do so. I'm convinced that when we deliver on our agenda this Congress, we will not only defy expectations, but we'll defy history in 2026. It won't be easy. We're going to need every single one of you to get us over the finish line. In the last election, we saw a once-in-a-generation demographic shift, and I believe we're going to hold those voters, those new people that came into the party, and we now have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver on those promises. I'll close with this. All of this is not possible without the leadership of a great president. President Trump once delivered the greatest economy in the world, and he will do it again with a little time and a Congress that helps him get there. President Trump once delivered a secure border, and he has already delivered that again. President Trump once restored peace through strength, and he is already doing that again by bringing hostages home, supporting our allies like Israel, and getting our adversaries to the negotiating table. These are the reasons that we're so bullish about the historic moment that we are in right now. We're all in this together, and President Donald J. Trump is leading the way. So tonight, we want to thank you all again for your support and your trust in us. I want to assure you that we will not let you down. God bless you for standing with us. We appreciate you so much.
All right, so that was Speaker of the House Mike Johnson there as we await the 47th Commander-in-Chief, President Trump, to speak at this event in Washington, D.C. This is the NRCC dinner. It's 7:07 Tuesday, April 8th. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. On Truth Social, President Trump just about 24 minutes ago said, quote, "I had a very good meeting today with the Speaker of the House, who, of course, you just heard from there, and some of our more conservative members, all great people," the president says. "I'll let them know that. I am for major spending cuts. We are going to do reductions, hopefully in excess of $1 trillion, all of which will go to the one big, beautiful bill." So we'll see what that beautiful bill looks like in the coming weeks, maybe less than that. Also, I, along with the House members and senators, will be pushing very hard to get these large-scale spending cuts done. But we must get the bill approved now. Make America great again. So President Trump just about 24 minutes ago on Truth Social, on his way to that dinner right there. We'll have that live for you right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to some more specifics about tonight's dinner. This is the National Republican Congressional Committee dinner. You just heard from a number of people, including Tom Emmer and Steve Scalise. You saw Mike Johnson there. And coming up in just a bit will be the President of the United States. Today seems like a mini conference or rally of sorts. It's the announcer's voice is the same announcer that you'd hear at President Trump's rallies. You have the different kinds of music being played between each speaker. And then, of course, the moment between the final speaker of the program until the president speaks. It's very similar to that. The only thing I don't see right now are a bunch of great red Make America Great Again hats. But I'm sure some may be wearing them there. Who knows? That is some video or possibly live feed right now of the White House there. That is, look at all of the vehicles, by the way, of what it's like for whenever the president travels just by vehicle around the nation's capital. There are so many vehicles there, a lot of security. Some of those SWAT type vans, I mean, who knows the amount of personnel around the president, who, of course, is inside that motorcade, the beast, that huge Cadillac with all of the security features that no car on earth probably has. And there it is right there in the middle of your screen as we get ready to hear from President Trump. It'll be fun to hear another speech by the president, but it's always interesting to hear what's on his mind, the latest, the freshest information from the president as we're seeing the motorcade move on right now. So it looks like we're going to take a ride together and have this feed here as they are on their way to the event. Of course, this reminds me just a little bit of the day that President Trump spoke at the Capitol building as he was sworn in at the U.S. Capitol. And then following that, all of the different speeches he did around the Capitol inside there. And then, of course, we saw the video of President Trump on his way from the Capitol to the White House. And it was quite the night on that day, January 20th of this year. Only 78 days ago, that all went down. A great thing that happened here 78 days ago. And it seems as if President Trump has been in office for 78 years in a great way, because there's been so many things going on. Pedal to the metal for President Trump and this conservative freedom movement, and saying a big no thanks to the communist way that the other side wanted to take us. We know that not the majority of this country, there's a minority of the country that would want to take us in that direction. And this is the United States of America, where that doesn't fly. It doesn't fly here. And we don't want it to fly anywhere. Unfortunately, it does. But this is not the place for any of that junk. Specifically speaking of communism and Marxism and a technocratic, social credit score government. We don't want it here, and that's why we voted for President Trump. And then hopefully we win again in 28, 29. So anyway, all right, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Great sponsor here at the network, as you guys have seen over the years. mypillow.com. More than 2,000 products right there. You see a number of them on your screen. RSBN is the promo code that you can use for upwards of 50% off. Always good to use that. Always good to get a percentage off. And always good to see President Trump. We're going to see him here in just a bit. This is on the heels of just so many awesome things going on by our all-star cast of cabinet members as well. So isn't it great to have a captain of the team, President Trump? But then the alternate captain, which if we're talking hockey right now, would be the vice president, J.D. Vance. He's the guy there as well. And then you have a number of players that are not the captain or the alternate captain, but it's a team of people that know how to pass the puck down the ice, that know how to get that slap shot or that wrister for a goal, a game-winning goal. We've got a great set of American patriots on our team. And insert any sports analogy you'd like for that one. The quarterback, the GOAT, President Trump there, dropping back, throwing down the field to a wide open RFK Jr. for a touchdown. Whatever sports analogy you want, it's all about winning in this administration. And the wins that are done in Washington are the wins that are netted for us, for we the people. And no matter what different section of government that is, whether that's Health and Human Services, where fluoride may not be in our water anymore, our water supply. RFK Jr. talking about that recently as they're getting the podium ready there at that NRCC dinner for President Trump. Or if it's Kristi Noem at the DHS, or Pete Hegseth at DOD, or Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State. All of these great options for the president to go to for anything that is needed when it comes to, okay, you want the law and order increased? Oh, I have a border czar named Tom Homan. Let's throw the ball to him and get it taken care of. Oh, let's go to Pete Hegseth. You want more Army down there? You want those U.S. Army strikers? I'm going to dump the ball off right over to him. I mean, this is an all-star team, and we get to cover it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network every day. And it's not only President Trump, it's so many people that he has picked within the all-star cast. So pretty awesome stuff, isn't it? Aren't you glad to be an American, proud to be an American, as we are in a time of life that is quite wild, because we saw how serious this got and still is for our country. As we continue to see our country take a step, another step to being fully saved, Saving this nation is what President Trump and this team is doing, and we're glad to see it happen. We are seeing pedal to the metal every day. There are a number of things that we still want to see. The number of the promises that were made, as President Trump has kept the promises, just like he did in that first administration. The signature of his second administration is the same thing. But we still want to see more and more and more in the sense of all things that are common sense, all things that are true, all things that would keep this country on the right track post-President Trump. So we're watching, we're learning, we're seeing, and we're continuing to cover it all right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So thanks so much for streaming in tonight. I know there's been a lot of streams today. Robert McNeely, of course, earlier today, covering a number of things, including that White House press briefing where we learned a lot of information. Let's go to some of that right now. Before we get to all those details, what happened as well, the second live stream was the president signing the executive orders, all to make America energy independent again. So specifically protecting American energy from state overreach, to strengthening the reliability and security of the United States electric grid, to boosting the American energy, including that beautiful clean coal. As for the upcoming presidential schedule, according to the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, on April 14th, President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador will visit the White House. A few days later, on April 17th, the Prime Minister of Italy, President Giorgia Meloni, will visit the White House. President Trump earlier today on Truth Social spoke about the Supreme Court as well, saying, quote, "The Supreme Court has upheld the rule of law in our country by allowing a president, whoever that may be, to be able to secure our borders and protect our families and our country itself." A great day for justice in America. According to the White House as well, on April 2nd, of course, that was Liberation Day, we heard that more than 60, at least nearly 70 actually, countries have been contacting the White House in order to negotiate better trade deals. The president earlier today saying that the United States actually receives, get this, $2 billion per day in tariffs. And that's the way it is right now. That number most likely going to increase by a lot. So as for China, they aren't playing ball. So that means President Trump said, well, we're going to increase the tariffs up to 104% for Chinese imports. In other news, we're hearing the White House saying there has been a horrible yet incredible discovery by Doge. No details yet on that. We'll see what that may mean coming up maybe this week. So, yeah, we're hearing a lot going on at the White House. One of the things that would be really cool, I was trying to think about what that may mean with the Doge situation. Is it in Kentucky? Is it Fort Knox? Is it the gold? They had this incredible discovery. But the words that the president used the other day apparently was horrible and incredible. So I don't know about finding a bunch of gold being horrible. So maybe it's not that. But anyway, we'll see. I'm not going to speculate anymore because we'll let President Trump and Elon Musk, because since it has to do with Doge, release that information whenever that may be. It'll be great to see that. Once again, I spoke about this earlier as we wait for the president. You know, if you watched any of our coverage just the other day on Saturday, quite fun. We shifted gears into like a right side sports kind of network for a minute, as we are, of course, from Auburn, Alabama, the Auburn Tigers in the Final Four against the Florida Gators. Of course, fell to the Gators, a very close game, a great game there in San Antonio. And then the Gators won last night. The SEC then represented well with a championship, the best basketball team in the country, the Florida Gators. And Auburn, man, was right there with them through most of that game and just didn't come home with the win there. But the reason why I bring that all up is while I was in San Antonio, I was working with my cameraman there, and he knew some people that was in one of the suites, and we went and visited them. And one of the people there was a very successful businessman out of Dallas, Texas. And he said, we're at a tipping point in our country, and the time to save our country is right now, he said. And it made me think about something that a buddy of mine from Florida told me the other day as well, that we really have to keep that pedal to the metal because the midterms are somewhat around the corner, and we have to keep the House and the Senate. What would a House and a Senate and a Democrat majority do for this country? what would it do against President Trump? Would they try and do the whole impeachment process again? Very serious stuff. And he was saying, well, President Trump really only has 2 years to take over all of this. This is all opinion here, but I'm being just transparent with you. And it made me think about the future. And I'm like, okay, well, we know President Trump is kicking some serious you-know-what right now. We've got these great cabinet leaders. We want to keep winning, and we're seeing that happen. But we really have to win these midterms as well. And also, if needed, in certain areas, a number of people are talking about prosecution towards people that are against our country that have done illegal activity. And we're talking about those in the deep state. And I won't bring that up again because we're not trying to be divisive here. We are just trying to save our country, and we want to see that happen. But I'm just sharing with you what I'm hearing from people on the street as well. And that's what we are here in this country, and at this network is a very pro-free speech network that is about truth and common sense. And so if we hear something from somebody, it's okay to share it with you. And that's what I'm doing right now is the guy's saying, again, we're in a tipping point. It's right now we have to save our country. We already know that every day President Trump wakes up, he is, and by the way, sleeping for how many hours, I don't know, but probably not many, but continuing on to really do great things for the American people. And he knows what it was like over those past 4 years. He saw what happened, and he stood up for us, and God protected him, and we see great wins every day. But we have to continue to keep vigilant, though, as we continue to have these wins through these great 4 years, this golden age, this new era of the economy or the economics with this tariff situation where President Trump had Liberation Day. So we see the southern border. We see all these great things happening. So we're monitoring them here, but we're glad to see the pedal to the metal as we continue on. And, still, there's time to have a dinner like this. There's time to play golf. There's time when we just went on Saturday to cheer on our hometown team, the Auburn Tigers, for that basketball game. But the priority outside of all that is to make this country great again and to save our country. So we're not letting go of those two things at this network. We really are seeing it happen. We're seeing our country be made great, but we're also seeing it get saved because we don't ever want to ever flirt with what we just had over the past 4 years. So you can count on us for that common sense reporting, but also that analysis and commentary. But outside of even that, it's great just to bring this live picture to you there in Washington, D.C. and at the White House and everything that we cover from inside the Beltway to outside the Beltway. Some great coverage earlier today, of course, by RSBN host Robert McNeely covering the White House press briefing in its entirety. So if you missed any of that, you can always go and scrub back and check it out as we await President Trump there at this dinner here in Washington, D.C. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. If you're looking for maybe one product or maybe 2,000 products, they're all there. mypillow.com/RSBN. Use the RSBN promo code for up to 50% off everything. So many awesome products there. And speaking of great products, let's go to freetrumpbook.com. The great Mike Huckabee, of course, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, the former governor of Arkansas, also has a TV show. Talk about somebody that has really got it going on. That's Mike Huckabee. And you can help him out there, too, by just getting that freetrumpbook.com and getting it by going to that website. But you're also helping out the youth of this country and anybody else that just wants a refresh on not only the Kid's Guide to President Trump, but to American greatness and to the courage of the president and, how to stop indoctrination, that kind of thing. You can always get a lot of great information right there at freetrumpbook.com, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Speaking of indoctrination, I saw something on the Citizens Free Press earlier on Truth Social, and it was calling somebody out that was a Tesla protester, saying this indoctrinated person, this indoctrinated liberal, throwing a rock or throwing some item at a Tesla. I believe it was a Cybertruck this time. And that's perfectly put. That's as simple as that, just an indoctrinated person. There might be a good-hearted person there, but in the mind got messed up somehow and is doing these incorrect things. But that's only a smaller percentage, I believe, of this country that would go to that extent, to throw a rock at a Tesla, right? We're seeing so many great things in the majority of this nation, and it's great to highlight that, but it's also really what's happening in our country too, is that smaller percentage of people. We did see in San Antonio, and we saw in other cities around the country, a lot of protests against President Trump and Elon Musk. Those are facts. Those were protests, but doesn't mean that those people are on the right side of history. It doesn't mean that those people are thinking straight. It's very strange to come against what President Trump and Elon Musk are doing. There's no problem with being wealthy. Those guys are wealthy. President Trump's wealthy. Elon Musk is wealthy. You're allowed to be wealthy in this country. It's okay. And if somebody works hard and gets there, great. Like, I cheer people like that on. Do I want to be wealthy? Heck yeah, I want to be wealthy. Do you want to be wealthy? We all. Who doesn't want to be wealthy? It's okay. When it comes to the Bible, it's only the love of money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say money is the root of all evil, but the love of it. So I'm not on here talking about money all the time. You know, I love God. I love the country. I love this job. I love that we get to have this opportunity to spend time together here, and we're going to watch President Trump speak at this beautiful event. But at the end of the day, really seeing a lot of wins happening for our country, and it's awesome to see that. It was great to see, you know, a great NCAA tournament just yesterday. You know, Florida getting past Houston. It's great to win. It feels good to win. And that's what we're seeing on the political side of our country, and not only in politics. It's all of it. It's all inclusive when it comes to law and order, making America wealthy again, the southern border being closed, the constitutional rights that we have. You know, not to get too comfortable with, okay, President Trump's there and we've got this great cabinet, we're good. I don't want to get too comfortable with it. I want to make sure and monitor and see and watch and report and stay on the right side of history with the narrative of truth and all of that. So that's what we are in a way, gatekeepers, but hopefully gatekeepers on the right side of history. And that's what you get in conservative media, and that's what you'll get here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so that is the NRCC. So that stands for the National Republican Congressional Committee Dinner. The president about to take the stage there, a beautiful stage there in Washington, D.C. He's on his way from the White House. We saw some video just a few moments ago. I'm not sure if we still have it. We can re-rack and roll it if we want. But he's on his way, and we'll see him there at that podium. As soon as he takes the stage, of course, we will go there live. Now, will we hear Lee Greenwood's God Bless America song, you know, I'm proud to be an American? I believe we will, because every time President Trump arrives at events, we see and hear that Lee Greenwood song. So I believe that will be what happens today. If for some reason it doesn't, okay, it is what it is. But if it does, the reason why I'm talking about it is Lee Greenwood joined RSBN's Robert McNeely earlier today on a different broadcast. I had a one-on-one interview with him. Quite awesome to hear from Lee. But also outside of that, just the fact of the great moment. It's kind of like that rally feel that we have when we see the president take to that podium there. So let's look at a few latest Truth Social posts from President Trump. We saw again that he had a very good meeting today with the Speaker of the House, who, if you just joined us now, Speaker Johnson was on the stage there speaking for a little bit. We thought that the president would be right after Speaker Johnson, but of course, just like the rallies, sometimes there's that gap between the last speaker of the pre-show or the preview speeches and then to the president. Also, President Trump on Truth Social about an hour ago, retruthing something from Secretary Chris Wright, a screenshot from Secretary Chris Wright from X. The coal revival or increase U.S. grid resiliency, expand economic viability, and support American jobs. Also, Secretary Doug Burgum from President Trump. Today, POTUS, of course, the President of the United States, ended the moratorium on federal coal leasing, unlocking more of our energy resources to achieve American energy dominance. The golden age is here, and in the Department of Interior is poised to lead the charge. Lee Zeldin at the EPA, President Trump saying, or highlighting what Lee was saying, under President Trump, we will unleash energy dominance. Today's executive order will empower American energy, including beautiful, clean coal to drive down costs, increase domestic supply, and improve our grid security as we pioneer the path to become the AI capital of the world. That from Lee Zeldin earlier today. So pretty awesome. If you watched the speech earlier today by the president there before he signed that executive order, one of the coal miners was actually speaking. President Trump had him speak there at the podium. And the notes that the coal miner was reading from, President Trump said, let me see that. Let me see those notes. And I'm going to hold on to this. He said, there's some good words in here. And actually, he decided, the president, to sign the notes for the coal miner and signed his autograph on there, gave that back to him, that speech, just for a great kind of moment there to show that the president has always been somebody that is for everyday America. And that's why he highlighted it at the RNC over the summer, last summer. That's why he highlighted that time and time again in every speech. It seems as if he brings up something about that because he understands that it's we the people. And he wouldn't have done what he's doing now if he went through what he went through over the past 4 years. He would have just given up, or he would have quit if he was a part of any kind of establishment. But he's stuck with it. He's now the winner, of course, as the 47th president. And I speak like that because we're still only, get this, 78 days into his presidency. We're not even at that 100-day mark. And usually that's when the media back in the day would say, oh, the first 100 days, let's talk about it. And they would have their Sunday morning shows and all that. And I thought about Sunday morning shows the other day, and I'm going to say real quick, why are there Sunday morning shows? And then why are they all, most of them, not every one of them, but most of them, geared toward that left-wing narrative garbage? I would say that Sunday mornings should be reserved for God and going to church. And I'm not trying to be holier than thou or religious at all, but I'm just like, hey, that is the time for church, and y'all are having your Sunday morning shows. Maybe you want to check that someday and realize, why are you trying to feed us a bunch of garbage in those Sunday morning shows? Not every one of them again, but most of them. I thought, man, this is a time for God here. Why are you doing that? It's because the left-wing media, most of them, are godless. They don't like freedom. They don't like President Trump. And they don't like the American people. And of course, they'll choose a Sunday morning. Anyway, thought about that the other day. If you agree, great. If you don't, it's all good. It's just some commentary as we await President Trump there at 7:32 Eastern time on this beautiful Tuesday, April 8th. That is a beautiful looking stage there, the podium, looking great with the presidential seal as we await President Trump to speak. Let's go to one of our sponsors in the meantime, Kalshi.com. Kalshi.com. Will egg prices go up this month? Well, 11% chance, according to the people there that are trading and betting on various questions. It's not just about the eggs. There's all kinds of stuff on that one. Kalshi.com. You could trade on the most important events. And the other day, Elon Musk talking about Kalshi as well. Quite awesome to hear that. So pretty cool stuff. Kalshi.com/RSBN, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it is just about just slightly past the bottom of the hour. Speaking of Elon Musk, if you go to Elon Musk's X page, you'll see RSBN's logo on one of the videos where it showed President Trump and Elon Musk's son X when they were getting off of the Marine One some time back, and President Trump said, "Here's X right here," and it was a pretty cool video that Elon Musk posted. Well, it was our RSBN logo was on that, so sent to millions and millions of people. Pretty awesome to see that. I love Truth Social, as you guys know, but I haven't been on X in some time. I just saw all of the negativity that was on there over the years when I worked in mainstream media. Well, I think that this week I'm going to jump back on X and have an X page and, get on there and, just be a part of the X family. I really, again, will still be on Truth Social. I really like Truth Social and always will. And the great community of people on there that when we post something, showing the military at the southern border and all the love that the post gets because it's all about our country. And I like staying in that area when it comes to social media. But over on X, man, it's a different world over there. And speaking of X, I will go there right now and check something because I do have an account on there, but I don't really post anything. I'm just being transparent with you. But tomorrow maybe I'll put the face, my picture on and get a different account with a name and all that. But I do follow a number of accounts, including Elon Musk, or at least check a lot of Elon Musk's posts out. And one of them he said earlier today was quite interesting. He said, let me see if I could find it. Of course, a lot of reposts since then. But he said basically that X is the place where it is right here. It says, welcome to X, the group chat of Earth. The group chat of Earth. So that kind of might have pushed me over the edge a little bit too. Both Truth Social and X, awesome stuff. Let's go there to President Trump right now in Washington, D.C.
But I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Well, thank you very much. This is a great room. And, we've done very well in this room before, but right now we broke every record. I just heard from Mike Johnson. He said, we broke every record, sir. There is over $35 million. That's not bad for an evening. For an evening, that's not bad. I wonder if you ever turn the room this way. You know, it's interesting because I love real estate. I love ballrooms. I have nice ballrooms, a lot of them. I wonder if they ever turned it this way instead. So it might be interesting. This way I'm not talking to a wall. They think they get a better view, but actually I'm not sure. But next time, maybe we'll have to worry about that next year. Well, we'll do 45 or 50 million, right? I mean, a lot of people, you broke your record attendance and you broke your money record, and that's a great tribute to the Republicans and the party and everything it stands for. And it's wonderful. And I want to thank especially Speaker Mike Johnson, because he's been incredible. And we have some unbelievable supporters of our House Republican majority with us, as you know, and with the help of everyone in this room. The next year's Republican Party is going to defy history. We're going to really defy it, and we already are. We're getting things done. It's going to be very interesting to see. This is going to be a very interesting year. We have an interesting time. We're making a fortune with tariffs, $2 billion a day. Do you believe it? I was told $2 billion a day. You know, I get hit by the press about tariffs. We're making $2 billion. This isn't 35 million, that's peanuts. $2 billion a day. And then they say, gee, they don't know. You know, this is only the enemy can be talking this way. In addition, we have a lot of countries coming to see us that want to make a deal. And we're doing things that nobody's ever even thought about doing. And we're going to defeat the radical left Democrats who are out there complaining about everything. All they do is complain, and then they want to put men and women's sports and things like that. They want men and women's sports. They're still fighting for that. I saw this poor guy. You all know him. I won't mention his name. He's sort of a nice guy. He's a loser. He's a Democrat, but he's a loser. And he was fighting on a big show this morning We've got to have that. It's not fair that, essentially, that men aren't allowed to compete against women. Can you believe this guy? But let them do it. I say we shouldn't be fighting a lot of these things. Just let them go. And then just before the next election, we'll unleash on them, because it would be very sad if they actually change their policies. We don't want that to happen. But we're going to win the midterm elections, and we're going to have a tremendous, thundering landslide. I really believe that. And it's so important that we pass the big, beautiful bill, because that's going to be, and I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad. It's great. It's going to be legendary. You watch. Legendary in a positive way, I have to say. It's going to be legendary. But I really think it actually puts pressure on those few Republicans that just can't get there. You know what the alternative is? A Democrat bill or a chapter for the country. You know, we have the debt continuation, and they have to do this. They have to get there, and I think we are there. We had a great meeting today. I think we are there. But just in case there are a couple of Republicans out there, you just got to get there. Close your eyes and get there. It's a phenomenal bill. Stop grandstanding. Just stop grandstanding. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know, their policy, the Democrats, is horrible. It's horrible. Think of it, open borders, just all of the horrible, stupid things they have. You don't have energy, you don't have anything. They've lost their confidence. Everything is bad. But the one thing, they always vote in unison. You don't see somebody that's holding up. I'm going to hold up. And the alternative is hell. You know, the alternative is hell. So the Republicans just have one little thing the Republican Party has to do is get together and damn vote. If you're a single guy or a second guy, and you fight like hell for what you get, and then in the end you have to vote because the policy is phenomenal. You know, they don't get every little ounce. It doesn't work that way. And this bill that we're working on now is the best I think we've ever passed. Mike, wherever you may be, it's the best. I think it's the best thing we'll get it passed. But I think it's going to be the most important thing we've ever passed. It's the best thing we've ever passed. And I do think that the war with the world, which is not a war at all, because they're all coming here. Japan is coming here as we speak. They're in a plane flying, lots of them, all tough negotiators. But things that people wouldn't have given us 2 years ago, wouldn't have even thought of it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7, they're giving us everything. They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals, and people are paying tariffs. Countries are paying tariffs. Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping. That's okay. We're going to make our country even stronger, stronger than it ever was. And 26 Republicans will fight for every state, every seat, and every single vote. We're going to fight like hell. I intend to personally campaign for candidates all across the country, and we just won't. You're right about that. We won't just keep our majorities. We want to expand our majorities by a lot. You know, there's this thing about midterm elections that you have a president and they never seem to win. I don't understand. They never seem to win the midterm elections, and I have no idea why. You know, we're not going to let that be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I have no idea why. We're setting records right now. We're getting more things approved than any president has ever done in the first 100 days. It's not even close. I had somebody say the most successful first month in the history. Now they said the most successful 100 days in the history of our country, and I believe that's right. And we're going to continue that way, if not more so. And we're going to do tremendously in midterms. There's no reason we should do great in the midterms. There's this thing that, for some reason, the president, whoever the president is, the midterms are tough. Why would they be tough? If we're doing great, they should be easy. And I'm telling you, we got to win a lot more. But as Mike said before, I happened to listen to him. He was on C-SPAN 1. That's a big upgrade, right? I was listening as I was putting on the tie. How does it look? He was on C-SPAN 1, and they were talking about that, and I thought to myself, because people love him and they love your leaders, they love, really the party is just doing well. A couple we could do without, to be honest with you, but the party is doing well, and there's no reason we shouldn't just get together and win these midterms and win them by a lot, because 7 that I heard Mike talking about before, 7 is not really enough. But we lived for 1 for a period of time. You know, the only thing good about 7, when you have 1, and now all of a sudden you have 7, it sounds like it's like a landslide. It's so good. It's like the most amazing thing. 7 sounds so good when I hear that. It sounds like we can't be beaten. And we should be 50, 60 up. Honestly, we should be 100 up, because based on policy, these people have the worst policy that anybody's ever seen. There's something wrong with them. Honestly, there's something wrong with them, all this crap. 13 House Democrats currently represent districts that voted for Trump, and voted for Trump big. And in 2026, we're going to tell them, all 13, that you're fired, get out, get out. No reason for that, 13, but 13 is a small number compared to some of these stats. We are going to work very hard. I'm going to do tele-rallies. You know tele-rallies? I'll do rallies for a lot of you, but I'll do tele-rallies at a minimum. And we just had 2 great elections, by the way, and I heard everybody is introducing our 2 new Congress. Where are they, please? Stand up. I want to look you in the eye. I want to look you in the eye, Randy. Look at the 2 of them. What a job you did, man. Huh? You were never in doubt. Where's our second person here? I know there he is. Boy, they gave him a lousy seat. He's behind. Great job. We're proud of you, man. Great job. Great job. Thank you. And, you know, both elections, they were saying, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. And I was listening. And they won by, you won by what, 17 points, 18 points? I don't think that's close. I don't think it's close. So we won by 15 and 18 points. And they're saying it was a terrible evening for Trump. Can you believe it? Terrible evening. They only won by 18 points and 15 points. Anyway, good job, both of you. Good job. But in addition to our fantastic House Speaker, we're pleased to be joined by Majority Leader Steve Scalise. And I watched you too, Steve. I watched you on C-SPAN 1. And Steve has suffered greatly. I mean, I was there the night that it looked like he wasn't going to make it. He's very brave. He suffered greatly. And I tell the story about the baseball game where, I mean, he was really, the doctor told me, sir, I've never had anybody lose so much blood. It's not looking good. And his wife loved him. She was such a disaster that night. She was crying. She was crying because I've been with people that were in serious trouble and the wives couldn't care. They couldn't care less. In fact, after they recovered, I said, do yourself a favor, get rid of the wife. She couldn't. No, I'm only kidding, of course. I'm only kidding. I like to say I'm only kidding. That way, that cleans it up a little bit for the press. I say I was only kidding. No, I've seen some wives that were truly not bothered too much. I had one where the dog died and the husband died on the same day, and I said, it's too bad about Harry. No, but Lucy died. Lucy, oh my God. Harry didn't mean, he left her a fortune too. Can you believe it? Harry didn't matter. The dog mattered a lot. But I was with Steve, and he was really, that was a tough thing. And then, amazingly, he was, like a year later, he was in the baseball game against the Democrats, and he's playing second base. And he was having a hard time. It's a hard time getting around. And with his luck, a shot was hit to him on the ground, a ground ball. And he got down, and that ball was, no way that ball was, it was right at him, but really, it was whacked. I don't know who the hell hit it. It looked like a major league ground ball. And Steve went down and blocked that sucker and got on his knees and threw it to first base. It was the most unbelievable thing that it could happen. This was God watching a game, I'm telling you. Does everybody remember that? He blocked it, or knocked the hell out of his foot. Not his glove, it was his foot. And he got down and grabbed the ball, threw it out, and got the runner by quite a bit. And they then took him out of the game. And I said, what a great move. That was a good manager. They took him out of the game because you can't improve on that, let me tell you. But he had great courage, and amazing how he's done. And he's been very special, and all of us know it. He's really done great. Another man I've really gotten to know a lot, and I think he's fantastic, is Tom Emmer, Majority Whip. I think he's fantastic. Where's Tom? Where's Tom? Where is our Tom? Because I want to see his wife. You know, his wife is better than him. He admits it. Oh, that's good. Hi, Tom. So where is she, Tom? Oh, no. She's not. She's home. She's watching C-SPAN. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Tom. Great job you do. And Lisa, you were up talking about Donald Trump tonight. And Lisa McClain, conference chair, she was talking about Trump. And I appreciate it, Lisa. Lisa, where are you, Lisa? Just like a roast. Thank you, darling. I saw your whole speech. I watched you and Steve and Mike. I watched the whole thing. Then they said, sir, we have to leave. You're going to be late. I said, I want to watch your speeches. And we have Richard Hudson, the NRCC chairman, who set the record tonight. Richard, great going. That's a great job. And Brian Jack, who was with me from day one of my political career, he was so fantastic. He was so fantastic. And he came to me, he said, do you think it would be okay? He wanted to run for Congress. He always wanted to run for Congress. It was the most important thing. But he was with me, knows so much about politics and boxing. He knows a lot about boxing, too, but he loves politics. But he really just wanted to run. I think his ambition was to be a congressman. And the seat came due. A good member of Congress actually retired, and Brian in Georgia. And Brian said, what do you think, sir? I said, well, you got my endorsement. And he won by a lot, and he's never looked back. He's a fantastic guy and a great political leader, a great politician. Brian Jack. Where are you, Brian? Where are you, Brian? Hi, Brian. Great job. Proud of you, Brian. And more than 160 members of Congress, and I'd like to really, you've done incredibly well. They're really looking back. And, you know, I said before, the Democrats have taken a lot of beatings. They have lost their confidence. They've gone crazy. They've gone crazy. How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? Is that real? Are they serious about that? That's their new star? If that's their new star, they're in serious trouble. I mean, this is Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man. But we've done a job, but they've totally lost their confidence. And it's a hard thing when you lose your confidence, but they have. They've taken a lot of beatings, and now they're going to rely on Crockett to bring them back. Crockett's going to bring them back. You ever watch this? Last November, all the leaders here tonight were given a mandate from the American people, and at the presidential level, we won, think of this, all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. That's not bad. Remember? The fake news was saying it's going to be tough because people like Trump, but he should be able to get 270. I actually went to Nebraska and campaigned for 1 vote. I went to New Hampshire. I campaigned because they said that it could be we're 270, 269. So I'm going to all the places and I'm trying to get 1. We won Nebraska big, but there was 1 area. And I went there. I went all over the place campaigning, and then we get 312. But we won in a landslide, too, because we won the popular vote for the first time of a Republican in decades. And now I think that's going to be done routinely. We won 85% of all counties in America, 525 for them and 2,725 for us. That's that map that you see. It's all red except for the 2 corners. They have a little blue, a little line of blue. For the first time in history, all 50 states shifted toward the Republican Party. First time in history. It's never happened. It's a shift. It shifted Republican. And today there are more registered Republicans than any time in the history of our country. How good? How about that? Meanwhile, approval ratings for the Democrat Party have plunged to the lowest level ever recorded. They're at 26%. So you tell me about the midterms, right? 26, the lowest level ever for either party. The Republican Party is a much bigger party now than it was ever before. And I must say that it's the biggest now since you heard the name Donald J. Trump running as a politician. You heard the name before, but not as a politician. I said to my wife, I think I'm going to do this thing. Do I have your approval? Yes, darling, I think you'll win. See, she's a supportive First Lady. I don't know if she believed it or not, but she said it. She said, yes, darling, I think you'll win. How do you think I'll do? Oh, darling, you'll win very easily, even though I've never done it before. I said, I have one problem. I've never done it before. She said, that doesn't matter. You're so talented. I said, thank you very much. This is why we get along. It's easy to get along like that. But we have far more people and far more enthusiasm than the party's ever had. I think I could almost say than any party's ever had. I don't think any party's ever had more enthusiasm than us and spirit. A lot of that's our leadership. The Democrats are a broken party with bad policy. They've lost so much, and both as politicians and as people, they've lost. The stage is set for a monumental victory for the Republicans in the midterms. And many of you, I guess most of you, and so many great congressmen and women here. You got some senators here also, but many of you are, all of you are up. We've got to win. We've got to work really hard, and we got to win, because there's no way they should be winning based on policy, and it's ultimately about policy. We simply have to keep our promises to the people, and we have to very simply put America first. Put America first. And I said, I ran on common sense. I ran in. It sounds like a phrase that would have been used. I don't know. Nobody tells me it was used in politics before. Now everybody's using it. I see the Democrats. Some Democrat guy was a real sleazeball. Got up. He said, yeah, I ran on common sense. That's what I did. Common sense. Yeah. And I said, gee, but the problem in politics, you come up with a little slogan and they copy it. But, they copied no tax on tips. Remember, I said no tax on tips. Nevada hadn't been one for many years by a Republican. And state of Nevada, and don't ever call it Nevada. You'll lose 25%. Call it Nevada. It's true. It seems almost nicer the other way. Nevada sounds like Brooklyn. Does that make sense? I come from Nevada. But don't ever call it Nevada. Call it Nevada. But as you know, the corrupt globalist establishment that ruled our country for decades is now complaining that I'm doing exactly what I pledged to do in the campaign. All of these things, tariffs, the men and women's sports, everything. The borders, strong borders. We have the strongest border we've ever had today. It was just announced. Strongest border. They don't want to write that. They forget. They forget. Eggs. I came in eggs. Not a very glamorous thing to talk, but eggs. I was in for 1 week, and they said, egg prices are soaring. I said, I've just been here. I didn't know this, please. I didn't know it. The fake news, they're going, egg prices are soaring. I said, man, I just got here. Let me know about it. What's going on with eggs? Tell me. So they gave me a little bit of a thing, and it's true. Under Biden, they soared like double, tripled, quadrupled. You couldn't even get them. They were not available. They said, don't use eggs for Easter. Use the plastic alternative plastic. We got, at Mar-a-Lago, we got plastic eggs all over the place. They said, don't use it for Easter. If you're doing an Easter egg hunt, do not use eggs. Well, we have a wonderful Secretary of Agriculture, as you know, Brooke Rollins. She's here someplace, I think. And she went after it. When she goes after something, we don't play games, right, Brooke? And egg prices are down now 87%, and you have all the eggs you want, 87%. And they didn't write about it. They don't talk about it. I go up, I make speeches about eggs all the time. I never get a reporter writing about it because we were successful. If you're a Republican, when you're successful in something, you have to toot your own horn. Talk about it because you're the only one that's going to. It's a rough business, I will tell you. But the shrill voices that you're hearing this week about tariffs are the same scoundrels and frauds who never thought twice about when the United States lost 90,000 factories and plants. Think of that, 90,000. How do you do 90? If you had a map, a big map the size of that wall, and you had a pin for each factory, you wouldn't have enough room. You think of it, 90,000 factories since NAFTA, the worst trade deal in history, by the way, and we had it terminated. Everybody said you'd never be able to. It had to be terminated by Congress, and it was not easy. It was so bad. You know, the people have a lot of, it's very interesting, they have a lot of power. They have a lot of political power. It's hard to get even a bad deal terminated, but we did do it, and we got USMCA, and that's been really great. But when they cheat, it's not so good. And they cheat. They do cheat. You know, I respect Mexico. I respect Canada. But they cheat like hell. You know, Canada charges for our dairy products 270%. Nobody knows that. They charge you 2% for the first 2 cartons of milk. And after that, you go up to 270. And the press says, they've only charged 2%. No, that's for the first 2 cartons. So it's, you know, we can't have that. And we have to be wise to it and get along with everybody, but we have to call people out. 6 million manufacturing jobs were lost since NAFTA when 21 million illegal aliens poured across our borders. Think of that, many of whom were violent criminals, murderers, drug lords, and the mentally insane. Insane asylums were closed. They used to go crazy when I talk about Hannibal Lecter, the late, great Hannibal Lecter, right? Silence of the Lambs. The fake news would say, why does he talk about that? He's a fictional character. He's actually not. We have many of them that came across the board. He's actually not. But when the people went to the voting booth, then we understood why he talked about that, because they voted for us. They said, we don't want Hannibal Lecter in our country. The great Hannibal Lecter, he was a very important force. But the press would go absolutely crazy if I mentioned Hannibal Lecter's name, because they said he's a fictional character. No, but it was making a point, and the point is they're emptying mental institutions and insane asylums. Not anymore, they're not. Insane asylums into our country. We had numbers, the likes of which nobody's ever seen anything like it. Other countries, I deal with other countries all the time. I am right now on tariffs where they want to make a deal with us. We don't necessarily want to make a deal with them. We're happy the way we are, taking our $2 billion a day. But they want to make a deal with us, and they talk about it, and they say, we cannot believe that they had open borders. These are countries, they have, you know, they have borders, and they don't let people into their country. They can't understand how. They did it because they're sick or they're crazy. There's something really wrong with these people. But the same people now telling me about how to deal with China are the ones who sold out America for decades to China. For decades, they gave up to China. I'm the only one that you know how much? China's paid almost $700 billion in tariffs under me. And then they say, Donald Trump hasn't been tough on China. They say Trump hasn't been tough on Russia. Okay, here's the story. Nord Stream 2. Did anybody ever hear of it? It's the biggest pipeline in the world. I closed it. Russia had it. I closed it. Putin told me that's the worst thing. You're supposed to be friendly with me. I'd hate to see you as my enemy. I closed Nord Stream 2. When Biden got in, he opened it up immediately. It serviced all of Europe, going to Germany. It serviced all of Europe. We closed it, and they say, oh, he wasn't tough on Russia. I was very tough with the sanctions and everything else. And by the way, just for your information, we're trying like hell to get the fighting stopped between Russia and Ukraine. A thing that never would have happened if the election wasn't rigged. We had a rigged election. And we can say it and say it loud and say it proud because the election was rigged and we can't let that stuff happen anymore. Go to paper ballots, go to same-day voting, go to voter ID, go to citizenship. You have to prove your citizenship, a little piece of paper, and you won't have it. Sort of disappointing because a lot of Republican governors, they could do that. Same-day voting, paper ballots, very sophisticated paper, actually. It's all watermarked. You can't cheat. Very hard to cheat. France went that way. They were like us, and they were, having very bad elections, very crooked elections. They had 37 million people. They voted. They had a winner. They had a loser. They went home. That was it. 10 o'clock in the evening was over. With us, You ever see, we have these machines that cost a fortune, and they say, we think we're going to have the final vote tally in 2.5 weeks. And wait a minute, this is election day. You ever see where in California they were counting votes 4 weeks later? And then they say, and by the way, all paper costs 8% of the machines. Why is it that Republican governors aren't going to it, okay? What's going on with our Republican governors? If nothing else, you say, even if it was just the same, and it's not, it's, you know, it's, nothing's foolproof when it comes to voting, but it's pretty close. But it costs 8%. In other words, you can have your election 8% the cost of the machines, and you get an accurate count. So it's pretty amazing. They gave us NAFTA, mass illegal immigration, the Democrats did, the fake Paris Climate Accord, and the China's entry into the World Trade Organization. That was a wonderful day for us. China entered the World Trade. They've done pretty good. And, you know, they didn't do things exactly by the books. And they were a developing nation. They still are. They say, we are a developing nation. We should be entitled to more. And our people say, oh, that's right, they're developing. They're not developing, we're developing. Look at some of our inner cities. We got to develop them. But we can't let the Democrats get away with this stuff. But we're developing more than they are. The globalists have been wrong about everything, and so I wear their attack on me because nobody has ever been attacked like a man named Donald J. Trump. In the history of our country, nobody's ever, but I wear it as a badge of honor. Nobody has ever been attacked. I was under more investigations than the late, great Al Capone. He was the most violent criminal. He was the most violent mob boss in history, and I was under investigation far more than him. It wasn't even close. Our opponents are not afraid that our America First policies will fail. They're terrified that our strategy will succeed and we're going to get bigger and stronger and better as a party, and that's what's happening, and that is what's happening. It's going to be something, and I'm actually looking forward to the midterms. I really are. We're going to prove that all of their treasonous years of betrayal will not be forgotten, because it's treason. What they did is treason. When they allowed millions of people to pour in through open borders from all over the world, they came. To me, that's treason. What they've done to our country is unthinkable. The money we have to spend to take people out, and then we have judges that say, no, let Tren de Aragua come back into our country. They want him to come back in. Killers, they cut off a man's fingers because did you, sir, make a phone call to the police in Colorado? Yes, I did. You've attacked us and you've taken over our building. They took over real estate all over Colorado. You did, right? Give me your hand. Put the hand down. Boom. Cuts off his fingers. And they want him back. And how about the mix-up with the MS-13, where it wasn't a Tren de Aragua, it was an MS-13 killer. And they said, oh, they got him mixed up. Let's get him back into our country. No, we need people that are going to love our country. I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us. They stole our money. They stole our jobs. And now people are going around saying, oh, we're not treating them right now. We're treating them very good, actually. They're lucky we're treating them so good. And, you know, when I have tariffs and I say, well, we're going to charge what they did. We're going to charge what they did. And then I say, I'm going to charge much less than they did. Believe me, we're actually being nice about it. But we're doing very well, better than we've ever done before. My job is not to maximize the profits of outsourcers and these foreign corporations are horrible. It's horrible what they're doing, but we're catching them. We're catching them by the dozens. My job is I have to defend the American dream, and I have to defend the American citizens. That's my job. I have to defend that. The American dream is never mentioned. It was mentioned for 4 years, and now it's being mentioned again, but it was never mentioned when we had Sleepy Joe in office. I used to have the hardest thing I had to do with Joe Biden is the nickname. Do I call him Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Could we take a vote, please? Who wants to call him Crooked Joe? Who wants to call him Sleepy Joe? That's my problem. It's like the same. They both work. They both work beautifully. Joe had one ability that I didn't have. He said he was a good golfer. He's terrible. Somebody said the only time I got angry during our debate when he said he was a 6 handicap. He's not a 6. He's not a 36, okay? But he had one ability that I don't have. He was able to go to a beach, bathing suit in tow, because it looked like it was actually falling off. But he'd go, had a hard time walking through the sand because, sand is heavy on your feet. Carrying one of those 6-ounce chairs that are made out of aluminum that if you weigh a little bit too much, it just cracks in the middle when you sit down. And he could sit down in a beach with photographers on the beach. He's the president, so he had a minimum of photographers, but he still had photographers. And he could fall asleep. Who the hell could do that? Who could fall asleep? And he'd turn around and drool would be coming out. He didn't care. His wife didn't care. It's an ability that I could never fall asleep under those circumstances. I'd be very conscious of my body and what we look like. I'd be sitting up like this. Then I'd say, darling, it's time to go. Let's get out of here. Well, it wouldn't most people. I mean, this guy could go to the beach, and he was out in seconds. Guys are shooting him. He'd be in the papers the next day, eyes closed, mouth open. The United States has been getting ripped off for 50 years, and we're simply not going to take it anymore, and that's what's happening right now. In 1950, the United States dominated global auto production, producing more than 75% of all of the cars on Earth. Think of that, 75% and even higher before that. Today, we produce 11%, while China produces 3 times more than we do. Let me tell you something. With the tariffs that we're doing, as you know, we have tariffs on automobiles, aluminum, steel, separate from the other tariffs, the baseline we call it. Companies are pouring back into our country with plants. There's a run on sites. There's a run on old plants. Most of them are being ripped down for new plants. They've stopped building in Mexico, 4 or 5 plants, and they're all coming into the United States. I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and you know what I'm doing, too. That's why you vote for me. And the chip makers are coming in. They're all coming in. We've never had anything like this. We have investment, they think, of about $7 trillion. And that's been in a month and a half. Think of that. For the first, you got to give me a little time to get warmed up with that. So let's take the first couple of weeks off. For about a month and a half, we got almost $7 trillion spoken for. Trillion. We've never had that. I don't know if we've ever had it at any time. But if you go back and look at Biden and these other campaigns, any of them, they didn't have those numbers for the year. These are the biggest chip makers in the world, the biggest auto manufacturers in the world. $7 trillion of investment, and that means jobs. I look at it differently, not investment. I look at it as jobs. And they're coming in at levels that we've never seen before. And it is true that Mexico, they've stopped building plants, and those plants are now going to be built in the United States of America. So it's pretty exciting. All because of 2 things. They say, they want to be nice to me. They say, sir, because of November 5th, the election, and because of tariffs. I said, in that order? And the smart one said, yes, sir. First was that you got elected, and second was tariffs. And I'll accept that, But I will tell you, because of tariffs. But I'm the only one that would have done the tariffs because everybody was afraid. They were afraid of being criticized because the globalists will go after you. For 7 decades, American ships have patrolled the seas. American troops have kept the pace and peace. And American wealth has enriched the globe. But despite all we have given to them, you will not find an American car in Berlin, in Tokyo, in Seoul, in Shanghai, not a car. I used to say to Angela Merkel, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why None, Donald. None. That's right, Angela, you got it. How many Chevrolets do you think we have in Munich, Angela? None, Donald. I said, you sent us 7 million cars last year. So we're going to start buying American-made cars or cars that are manufactured in America. And if you can do it, not part of what I was going to say, but one of the best things that I think I've come up with is interest deductions. If you buy a car that's made in America, you get an interest deduction on the money you borrow. And I love it. I hope you can do it, Mike. I hope you can do it, because I haven't bugged you about that. I've been talking about no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And I haven't really been as strong on this one, but it's only because it gets a little bit long, you know. But if you think of it, you buy a car, you borrow money, and you get a deduction on that money if the car is made in America. I'm thinking that will not cost you 10 cents. You'll make money with that one. I think you'll make money actually in a certain way with the other three also. I think they're very important, and they were part of our campaign. I was going to say before that in Nevada, that when I came up with the no tax on tips, I think that's why we won by a massive amount. And interestingly, they came up about a month and a half later. She was making one of her few speeches. She didn't speak too much for a reason, good reason. She was making a speech, and in the middle she said, oh, and by the way, we will have, everyone's falling asleep, we will have no tax on tips. The place booed the hell out of it. They said, you're a little late on that one, because I was worried they'd copy me. You know, it was so good. You know how it actually happened? Maybe I should tell the story quickly. I was in my building in Las Vegas. We have a great restaurant there. And this young, beautiful waitress, and you're not allowed to say beautiful because that's the end of your political career. If you call a young woman beautiful, that's the end of your career. But what the hell? She was beautiful. So she came up to me. And she said, hello, sir. It's so nice to have you at the hotel. I said, thank you. I had a group of people, some political people, actually. It was very interesting. And I said, how's everything going? She said, oh, it's so tough. They're after my tips. Who's after? The government. They're after my tips, constantly after my tips. They're after all of us for the tips. She said, sir, we should have no tax on tips. I said, say it again. What? We should have no tax. She said it. This was my consultant, a waitress from my hotel. Most people go out and spend millions of dollars to come up with an idea. I said, she just said no tax on tips. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. So I went outside. There were a lot of, we finished our wonderful meal, steak, went outside, and there were a lot of cameras, as there always are, unfortunately. I say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a new policy all over the country, but specifically in Nevada. There will be no tax on tips, right? And the cameras went wild. Click, 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 click. And we won the state by a lot, so I don't know. So I have to find that waitress and thank her. She was my consultant, except I didn't pay her $2 million like the other consultants that we all get screwed by. Even worse than the tariffs other countries impose are the non-monetary barriers. That's a non-monetary. These are not financial. These are other things, what they do so that you can't get your product in that country. And China, as you know, is one of the big offenders. And it's not all China. Look, I get along with President Xi. I have over the years. But, you know, you just, when COVID came, that was the end. That was it. That was called the bridge too far. But I've always had a good relationship with a very smart guy, loves his country. I love our country. So, you know, we love our country. He loves his. I tell that to other leaders. You got to fight for your country. You're not going to fight for us. But we can't fight for you. We're fighting for other countries. We're trying to make them great without making us great. But those days are over. They steal our intellectual property. They rob our trade secrets. They manipulate their currency to levels that have never been seen before. Today it was announced that China is reducing its currency. Did you see that? Big, big. In other words, they're going to make up for it. They got every trick in the book. I'll tell you, they are great. You got to hand it to them. You got to hand it to them. They're manipulating their currency today as an offset against the tariffs. Not supposed to do that. The game isn't supposed to be played that way. It makes it very hard for us. But in the end, it's not good because they have to buy oil. See, we don't need oil. We don't need oil and gas. We have more than any other country. They have to buy it. That's where it hurts them when they do that. It costs them twice as much. And they ship their products through every one of our trading partners, running up our deficits with these countries. They sell a lot. You know, when you put a tariff on them, they sell it like with steel. They were dumping tremendous amounts of steel into our country during my term. I saved every steel mill. We only have steel mills because of what I did. I put a high tariff on them, 25 and then 50%, and it stopped. It stopped. They were dumping so much steel, we would have lost every single steel mill. The people that like me best are the people in the steel business, but I think the auto business is going to be right there. I think chips are going to be there. I think pharmaceuticals are going to be there because, you know, we don't make our own pharmaceuticals, drugs, and other things to get better. They're made in other countries, and you pay a number. I mean, the same package in our country compared to like London and other places is sometimes 10 times more. 10 times more. Something that sells for $88 in London sells for $1,300 here, made in the same factory by the same company. And that's over. I told them all that's over. They put all of their research and development money. They put everything. But what they don't tell you is that these other countries are smart. They say you can't charge more than $88, otherwise you can't sell your product. And the drug companies listen to them. But we're going to do something that we have to do. We're going to tariff our pharmaceuticals, and once we do that, they're going to come rushing back into our country because we're the big market. The advantage we have over everybody is that we're the big market. So we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals, and when they hear that, they will leave China, they will leave other places because they have to sell. Most of their product is sold here, and they're going to be opening up their plants all over the place in our country. We're going to be announcing that, so that's breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. That's what's going to happen. What other presidents allow China to get away with is absolutely criminal, but I'm not like the other presidents, and it's not going to happen under President Trump. It's just not going to happen. After all of the abuses they've perpetrated, China's attempting to impose additional unjustified tariffs. Just so you understand, they all got rich because of tariffs. You know, now when we do it, oh, it's so terrible what Trump is doing. It's so terrible. They got rich. And not only China, many countries. I mean, you look at Vietnam, you look at so many, I could name 50 right now. Biden couldn't do that. He couldn't name any. Name one country. Name any country. What's the name of our country? He doesn't know. That's why additional tariffs on Chinese goods are in place effective midnight tonight at 104%. Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will. They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started because they're proud people. China will now pay a big number to our Treasury. This is all taxes. And don't let them keep telling you that this is a tax on our people. I hate that. You know, they say it's a tax. No. Often, much of it is paid. And hey, look what happened during my first term. We had no inflation, and yet I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes from China. No other president got 10 cents in tariffs or taxes from China. I got hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. And I still got along with them because they understood what they were doing was wrong. They understood it. It's when you explain it, they sit up, they say, I've had numerous leaders tell me, you're right, sir, I was waiting for you to bring this up. Because some of the trade deals that were made by predecessors as president were so bad, you almost wonder who did these deals. They were either crooked or stupid. There can be nothing else. They were either stupid or crooked. It's terrible, but it's all being changed. I changed a lot of it in the first 4 years. But it's all being changed. You know, in the first 4 years, we had the most successful country in history in terms of economics. We had an 88% increase in the stock markets. We had an 88% increase. There's never been any president that had an 88% increase. We had 88%. And the There are a lot of happy people, and I think we're going to do much better than that this time, because this time I'm doing what I want to do with respect to the tariffs. I think we're going to do much better. And just remember the numbers. When you get up to $2 billion a day, $2 billion a day, they're saying, sir, can't be that, can it? I said, yeah, it can. It's the biggest transaction ever made. This is bigger than any deal. You guys, some of you work for companies. Your companies are peanuts. I don't care how big they are. This is the largest transaction in the history of our country. And don't let some of these politicians go around saying, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate. Congress takes over negotiating. Sell America fast, because you're going to go busted. You don't. I just saw it today. A couple of your congressmen said, I think we should get involved in the negotiation of the tariffs. Oh, that's what I need. I need some guy telling me how to negotiate. I tell you, the happiest people in the world would be China. They wouldn't be paying 104%. I tell you, they'd be paying no percent. We'd be paying them 104%. That's the beauties. These guys, we got to be careful. And even the concept of it hurts your negotiation. When they see a little story like that, the other side, it hurts your negotiation. And then the fake news wants to build it up, and it has no chance anyway. But we have to remain united. As I defend workers from unfair trade, House Republicans have a chance this week to bring trillions and trillions of dollars pouring back into America by pushing forward with the largest tax cuts in American history, which is what you're working on right now. The largest in American history. And the reason because we had a great first term and amazing first term, but I saw that the other day that we had the most successful, I knew it anyway, but I saw that we had 88% increase. That's a tremendous increase. Think of that. And that's with all of the difficulties and all of the fake investigations and the Adam Shifty Shifts. Can you believe this guy? He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. And the biggest head. We call him watermelon head. I'd say, how could that big fat face stand on a neck that looked like this finger? How can it? It was the weirdest thing. It's a mystery. Nobody can understand it. But he's one of the most dishonest human beings I've ever seen. And how we can allow people like that to run an office is a shame, but we did. He was in charge of the witch hunt. He was in charge of the fake witch hunt with Russia. It was a made-up story. Made up. Think of it. They make up a story. They know it's made up. It's gone on for a year and a half, 2 years. Russia. I knew nothing about it. The only thing I knew was that I taxed the pipeline that I told you about, that I put all sorts of sanctions and everything else. They never had a problem like they had with me. But it was Russia, constant, as a method of, what they did is that was the complaint about why she lost an election, because crooked Hillary was expected to win the election. But they didn't see what we saw. We saw the biggest crowds in history gathering, only superseded by the crowds we just had. But here's a guy that goes out, and he goes to an intelligence hearing, or whatever you might call it, and it's supposed to be secret. He'd walk out. He'd either make a call off the record, just a crooked Adam, shifty Schiff. He's a shifty Adam. Or he'd just go out blatantly and have a news conference. And because it had to do with me and my family, he'd go out and have a news conference. And he said, you've got to remember, he knows it's a hoax because he made it up with crooked Hillary. So he knows it's a hoax because we're dealing with human beings on the other side. He'd say, Donald Trump Jr., the son of the President of the United States, will spend many years in prison because of what he's done with Russia. Now, think of that statement on a human basis. I have a son, a young son, who is being told that he's going for prison on something he doesn't even know what they're talking about. He said, Dad, I don't know what's going on. They keep talking about I'm involved with Russia. I don't know anything about Russia, I swear to you, Dad. And yet Adam Schiff goes out and makes a statement about a hoax that he made up that he knows is false. How bad a human being do you have to be? They put my son and my family through that kind of trauma. These are bad people. These are sick degenerates. And I used to be much nicer to them. I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but I've just seen too much. They make up a story about Russia. It was a hoax. And eventually, now they've all admitted it was a hoax. On to the next one. That's Russia, Russia, Russia. But they know it's a hoax. And they say about a young man that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison because of what he's done with Russia. He knows it's a hoax. How bad do you have to be to have that happen to your son? And, you know, it has a bad effect on a family, a bad effect. You know, you okay, Don? I am, Dad, but I don't understand. They keep tying me to Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. He didn't know a damn thing about Russia. It's a disgraceful situation. That's why we got to kick their asses in the midterms, and we got to kick their asses again in 4 years. If we slash taxes on American workers and producers, our economy will soar, jobs will surge, manufacturing will boom, and our country will prosper like never, ever before. We got to get this big, beautiful deal done. We got to get it done. And get it done now. Don't wait 2 weeks. Don't wait 2 weeks. See, bad things happen. Crazy things happen in politics. Just get the damn thing done and stop showboating. A couple of people want to, sure, we got to get a little bit more. A little bit more. You know what you're going to get? You end up getting nothing. You end up getting a Democrat bill or worse. In the past 11 weeks, we've already created 350,000 jobs. It's unprecedented, including 10,000 manufacturing jobs that we haven't even started yet. Gas prices, you know, when I came in, they said he campaigned on prices coming down and prices are going up. They're not going up, they're going down. Gas prices are way down. In fact, they had something $2.50 a gallon. I saw on television a little while ago in between watching my great friends on C-SPAN. I saw that the prices are down to $2.50, $2.60, $2.75. It was, when I came in office, it was $3.50, $3.75. But prices are coming down. Prices on groceries are coming down. Prices of eggs are down like 87%. 87, you know, they got me with that. I told you. Before I even got in office, they were telling me about, they're down close to 87%. And core inflation has dropped to the lowest levels in 4 years. And as I said, we had no inflation in 4 years, despite the fact that I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, so we hadn't even started yet. Nearly $6 trillion of new investment, and that number is now revised up to about 7. Apple, great company, is spending $500 billion because of tariffs. $500 billion, not 500 million, that's a lot. 500 million. You know, when I first heard the number, I said, you mean 500 million? You can build a lot of plants for... No, sir, 500 billion. 500 billion? TSMC, the biggest, most powerful chip maker in the world. This is without that stupid CHIP Act, where they say, here's billions of dollars to a company that doesn't need it. These chip companies are loaded. They give these companies billions of dollars to build a plant in the United States. They don't build them in the United States. They keep the money. It looks good. They give them billions. No. TSMC, I gave them no money. Great company. Most powerful in the world. Biggest chip company in the world. They're spending $200 billion in Arizona building one of the biggest plants in the world. And that's without money. All I did is say, if you don't build your plant here, you're going to pay a big tax. 25, maybe 50, maybe 75, maybe 100%. NVIDIA is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. Johnson & Johnson is investing $55 billion. Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. DeMac is investing $20 billion. We have billions and billions being invested by Merck, Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai. All are putting in billions and billions and billions of dollars. They're buying sites all over their building because they don't want to have to pay 25 and 50% tariffs. They're all doing it And I think they also have confidence in the country. They have a president that they have confidence in. I know many of them. With the help of people in this room, we are one big, beautiful bill signing away from the greatest economy in the history of the world. And it's an overhang. You know, this bill's an overhang because if it doesn't get signed, we will have imposed the biggest tax on the people of this country in our country's history by 40%. Biggest tax, because we gave you the biggest tax cut in history. Now we're giving you another, which is one of the reasons that there are many reasons why we were so successful. But that's one of the big ones. The other one is that 1 year deduction, all in 1 year deduction, so big, and I know they're working on that, the big deduction. It makes people invest. But now we're working on something that's going to, I think, blow it away. This bill is unbelievable. It's going to bring a lot of money back into our country. But if we don't do it, it's going to be a disaster. And you just better hope that people believe that it was the Democrats' fault, because, you know, they're very good at saying it was our fault. It'll be the biggest tax increase in history. And all my life as I watched politicians, I wasn't a politician, but I watched them and I contributed to them a lot, contributed a lot of money over the years, but I watched it. But all my life I'd hear politicians saying, we are going to give you a tax cut. I will cut your taxes. We will cut your I never heard. They're the only party that says, we are going to increase your taxes. Vote for me. Who the hell ever heard this? Only these people. We're at a strange time. These lunatics go out and they tell everybody how you're going to have a big tax increase. So maybe they want the bill to fail so that we can have a tax increase. Maybe they'll take credit for it. But I've never heard that said. Oh, I've watched politics all my life. I've never seen politicians campaign on, we're going to increase your taxes, except these crazy Democrats. As part of this legislation, I am committed to spending cuts, and I will fight hard to include the elimination of hundreds of billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse in the bill. We've already found hundreds of billions of dollars through Doge, and Elon has been terrific. He's been really terrific. But we've found hundreds of billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. But now we need to get the budget resolution, and we have to get it passed in the Senate. We have to bring it through the House. It's going to pass in both. One thing I'll say is that Thune has been great. John Thune has been great. And he's worked with your great leader hand in hand. Those two bills are coming up together, and they're very similar. And I didn't know if that would happen because you have a lot of different rules, procedures, complicated stuff. But Mike has been amazing, and John Thune, and they've worked like amazingly well because they've just been going on at the same time. And we're ready to get this thing done and beyond and get rid of the debt hangover ceiling that's a disaster for our country and for everybody, and to give people the biggest tax cuts they've ever had, because we're going to add them both up together. It'll be the biggest tax cuts. It'll blow away the tax cuts that we got them 4 years ago. If we follow through on this agenda, we will be rewarded with a phenomenal economy and a massive victory at the ballot box in 2026, because we will have a record of triumph like no president has ever had, like no Congress has ever had. They will not be able to even touch your seat. Your seat is secure, and we'll pick up 40, 50, or even 60 seats, and we'll have something that's going to be smooth sailing for years to come. If we don't get it done because of stupidity or a couple of people that want to show how great they are, you just have to laugh at them or smile at them or cry right in their face. In less than 3 months, our new administration has already accomplished more than most administrations achieve in 4 years or 8 years, and everybody says it. And we have to have this stuff documented and approved. In a matter of weeks, we've achieved the lowest level of illegal border crossings in American history. In history, they have a plaza in front in Tijuana, Mexico. I wouldn't advise going there on a trip, but nevertheless, they have a plaza, a big plaza, held hundreds of thousands of people. Yesterday morning, there were none. There was a man sweeping this massive plate of concrete, massive. And he was sweeping the concrete, and there was nobody there. During the same period last year, Joe Biden released more than 184,000 illegal aliens into our country. Think of it. Many of these people were from jails and mental institutions, as I said. Since my inauguration, we've released a grand total of nine. And they were all, in all cases, medical emergencies. We did that for medical emergency reasons. Last month, we officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And thanks to the Supreme Court yesterday, and today we had a big ruling too. We had a very big ruling today. But we will continue to deport these monsters under the Alien Enemies Act. Think of that, Alien Enemies Act. Can you believe it? All things we wouldn't have had to do if the election weren't rigged. Now, in reconciliation, we need Republicans in Congress to give us the full funding to permanently secure the border and to carry out. That's part of what we're asking for. Who could fight that? We want to permanently secure. Without a border or without fair elections and without a good press, you don't have a country. Well, we have a lousy press. We now have a good border. And we're going to get good elections pretty soon. There's a lot of clamor for it. I think it's something that you should work on. You should go out and put a bill in demanding. You demand, because the states are just an agent of the federal government, of you. You have to demand paper ballots. You have to demand one-day elections. You know what they do when it's longer than one day? All of a sudden, well, we're fixing the room up. Move those boxes. We're putting an air conditioner. Oh, really? We'll move the boxes back in a few days. Well, we're painting the room. Please move the boxes. And you notice the boxes go out and then they move back in about half the number. Oh, it's so sick. One-day election. You don't need any more than that. One-day election, paper ballots. I think you should put a bill in. I mean, I don't know. Who's in favor of a bill? Who could not want it? Who could not want it? But I think you should do a bill in that. I think it would be so popular. And more importantly than popular, it's so necessary. You have to have great elections. You have to have fair and free elections. And you've got to have borders. Otherwise, you don't have a country. To quickly bring down the cost of energy and lower the price of everything, on day one, I declared a national energy emergency to drill, baby, drill. We're drilling. Oh, we're drilling. I withdrew from the unbelievably expensive for us, the Paris Climate Accord. So we were paying, it would have cost us $1 trillion, $1 trillion. China doesn't come into it till like 2035. Russia's based on a 1992 standard when the air was dirty. India was based on a very low standard. Except the United States, we had to pay immediately. We would have spent trillions of dollars on that scam. And it sounds so nice, the Paris Climate Accord. What a beautiful name. Isn't it beautiful? It was a ripoff of the United States. Well, don't forget, I'm negotiating with these people, but if you really look, the European Union, why was that set up? It was set up to screw the United States of America. They formed a group of countries, got together, and let's make life miserable for the United States of America on trade and other things, and they have done that. They've done that. They've treated us very badly. We don't sell cars into the European Union. They won't take our agriculture. They want their own, but we take their agriculture, we take their cars by the millions. I terminated the Green New Scam, one of the great scams, one of the great hoaxes in the history of our country, only superseded by Russia hoax. I canceled Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate where everybody had to have an electric vehicle in a very short period of time. Everybody was forced to have an electric vehicle. They built some power stations in the Midwest. They look like gas pumps with electricity, right? They spent $8 billion, and 9 of them don't work. 4 of 9, they built 9 or 8, but half of them don't work. They spent $8 billion bringing the cables, bringing the wires. What a great investment that was. Billions of dollars they spent. Now people can go out and buy a gasoline-powered car or hybrid. They can buy whatever they want. We don't want hydrogen because they have some big problems. They blow up, and you never see who is driving the car. You're not recognizable. That's a big problem. They would tell me about, sir, I'm really liking hydrogen cars. I said, but isn't there a problem? Yes, they tend to blow up on occasion. I said, how bad is it? Well, we found body parts 250 yards away from the car. We think it was Mr. Jones, but we're going to go to see his dentist and see if we can. So if you have one of those incidents, let's forget it, right? It's a bomb. It's a bomb. I don't want him to work. I actually said, don't work on it. Between that and windmills, you can have windmills too. Most expensive form of energy ever. Anybody have a windmill by your house? Congratulations, you'll never sell your house. And today I signed historic executive orders to unleash coal production to the highest levels ever. Because, you know, coal is the most powerful thing. We have more of it than any. We have more liquid gold under our feet, oil and gas, and we have more coal than any other country. No other country has as much as we have. All different forms of coal. And take a look at China. They're building 2 coal plants a week. Think of that, 2 a week. We are screwing around with wind. Oh, wind. These people are crazy. They say, oh, it's great for the environment. Yeah, it kills all your birds. You want to see a bird cemetery? Walk under a windmill sometime. Got birds all over the place. They're screaming for help. They got whacked. The environmentalists, it's an environmental dream. You know why? Because you're never going to have energy. They're the most expensive form of energy there is. 10 times more expensive than clean natural gas, 10 times much more expensive than coal, and they're very unreliable. Like if they wanted to watch us tonight on television, Alice, I want to watch the president tonight. I'm sorry, darling, but the windmills aren't blowing. We're going to give them confidence to do what they have to do long into the future, because coal is going to be a big factor in our country now. You know, it does give us our electricity, because there's nothing like coal in terms of power, but it's going to be clean, beautiful coal, like our bill. It's going to be clean and beautiful. Coal miners, and by the way, they've made tremendous progress with also coal in terms of clean coal. But the coal miners standing alongside of me this afternoon in the White House, they were incredible. They were a beautiful sight to behold. These are really great American patriots, beautiful guys. I didn't want to have any arm wrestling contests with any of them, I can tell you that. They're good, strong guys. That's what they want to do. They love to dig coal. That's what they want to do. They don't want to do gadgets and widgets and wadgets. They don't want to build cell phones with their hands, their big, strong hands, doing a little thing. Remember when Hillary Clinton went to West Virginia? And she had decimated them 3 weeks before in, like, some state where they make little tiny circuit boards. And she said, we're going to teach the miners in West Virginia how to make a circuit board with little tiny things. He said, we're going to teach them. And then she went to West Virginia. She was in the campaign. And she had to go there. Do you remember that stop? It was memorable. It was one of the worst. Did they go after her? And one of the miners said, I don't want to do anything else but dig coal. I want to dig coal. They said it today. That's what they love. They love doing it. It's like that in a lot of industries. People love doing what they're doing. They want to dig coal. That's what they want. They don't mind going deep in earth. They feel comfortable. I could do without it. But they feel comfortable. They're incredible people, actually, hardworking, incredible people. And we're giving them their lives back. We've also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history. For every one new regulation, I have directed that 10 old regulations must be eliminated before the first one can go into effect. And we're working tirelessly to restore peace through strength and bring back the hostages held captive abroad. We've brought a lot of them back already, but what a sad situation that is. What a sad situation that is. That would have never happened to our president. October 7th would have never happened. And I said Russia-Ukraine would have never happened. All this stuff, inflation would have never happened. Afghanistan disaster would have never happened. Most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Not leaving. I was going to leave. I'm the one that got them to a point where they could leave, but I was going to keep Bagram, the air base, one of the biggest in the world. I was going to keep it, not for Afghanistan, because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Wouldn't it be nice to have it? You know who occupies it now? China occupies it now. Can you believe how stupid this guy was? On top of that, they get blown up at the airport, leaving the wrong airport. They didn't leave from Bagram. They left from a local little airport, which was crowded and like crazy with the people from the towns and cities. And the bomb went off and decimated hundreds of people, killed hundreds. We lost 13 soldiers. But we also had 42 or 48 horribly injured. Arms, legs, face, horribly injured. All because we had a stupid leader. Should have never happened. Should have never been involved in that. We're also joined tonight by a number of brave souls who were recently released from Hamas captivity. Hamas is just a disaster, the level of hatred. Where are the people? Hamas, they understand what that's all about. Where are you? That's great. How does it feel to be out? How does that feel to be out, huh? You want to come up here for a second? Come on up here. Come on up here. Come on up. Yeah, let them up, please. That's great. That's great. I'll tell you, these people, what they had to go through. I had 10 hostages in my office 2 weeks ago. What they had to go through is just horrible. Come on up. That's great. That is so nice to see you. That is so nice.
Thank you very much, President Trump. I'm here, and I'm alive. President Trump, you saved my life. You saved the life of 33 hostages that because of your efforts, and you're setting the hostage crisis at the high priority of what you are doing among all of the enormous issues and things that you're dealing with since you came into your position as President of the United States. You set the hostage crisis at the highest priority. You got 33 of us home alive. We all owe our lives to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please continue your tremendous efforts and your tremendous actions and your tremendous accomplishments. Continue. And we will get, with your help, all of the remaining 59 hostages still in Gaza back home. Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump, for bringing my Keith home. Keith's grandchildren are the happiest. Keith's children are the happiest. Keith's family is the happiest. But I am the most happiest. Thank you so much. We need you. We need you to bring all the hostages home. There's 24 that are alive and 59 to come home to their families. Just like I received Keith, they needed to. We have Yair standing here with us, and Eitan, his brother, is underneath the ground now, begging to get out. So I'm begging you all to help us. We need your help. Thank you.
So, my name is Yair. I've been in hell for 498 days. I've been held in hell with Hamas terrorists. When we didn't see the light, but we feel when we heard President Trump get elected, we knew there is now someone who makes the things happen. We needed, I'm sorry about my English. I am half Argentinian, half Israeli. I'm sorry. We knew we need someone who do the things. That's President Trump. We are here because of President Trump. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts. It's really surreal to be here. You know, I'm a simple man. I'm running the bar in the kibbutz in Nidos, where I was live, and now I'm here with President Trump, who's running the world. We are thankful. We are really thankful, but humbly we ask for more. The last push, the last 59 people, the last 59 hostages, among them my brother Eitan, and what is Liran brothers, Zivi and Gali and Eviatar, all the brothers, all the families. In a few days we mark the Passover, right? Pesach. It's a family. Family time. So I expect that in the next Seder, when my mother make the Knei Dalach, the matzo balls, that my brother Eitan, my little brother, who I call little, but he's 38, but it's my little brother. I hope he can sit with us in the Seder of Passover, and wow, it's overwhelming. I just want to tell you again, thank you. Thank you very much.
I just want to say, I said, of the 59 people that you want to bring home, how are they and how are they doing? Do you have any idea? Because they left that whole scene not long ago. And they said, well, of the 59, 24 are living, the rest are dead. I just heard that. And I was told that before by somebody else. But 24 are living, the rest are dead. These are young people, largely young people. Young people don't die. Young people are killed, they don't die. But the conditions were so horrible. but think of that. So, of the 59, and I've had Israeli parents tell me that my son is dead, but please bring him home, as though he were alive. She wanted him brought home more than, it just seemed almost more than if her child was living. Amazing. They wanted the mother and father. In 3 other cases, they wanted to have them brought home. I said, how is he doing? He's dead. It's only his body, but we want him home. So there's an amazing thing. But the 59 that you mentioned, you said that 24 were alive and the rest are dead. This is a terrible thing that's going on with Hamas. Terrible. The hatred is so incredible. It's unbelievable. And the way they were made to live was not even understandable, I think, by anybody in this audience. And you have great people in this audience that love you, and they're going to fight for you. And I just want to thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll get him back. Be careful. It's incredible what they've been forced to live with for 450, 500 days. Incredible. Nobody in this room could really understand it. I found it hard to understand. But we'll not rest until your loved ones have been returned home, and hopefully we can do it the right way. We want to get those 24 out really fast, and we're working on it very hard. There was no chance before. This is something that should have been done right at the beginning during the past administration. On day one, we ended the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies across the entire federal government, the private sector, and it's just not even allowed. I also signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only 2 genders, male and female. We want to keep it simple. As you know, in a very important executive order, I banned men from competing in women's sports. That was done, and I hope all of these executive orders can be codified, can be voted on by Congress. I can't imagine any Republican that's not going to vote for them. Many, many of them, over 100. And I think every single one of them is just common sense, good. It's good politics, but the word politics doesn't matter to me so much. It's good for our country. If Democrats retake the House next year, they will try to reverse all of the progress that we've made, which is record-setting progress. Instead of House committees run by Mike Johnson, Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan, James Comer, Ronnie Jackson, and so many other of our friends in this audience, the House will be run by the same band of radicals and lunatics you saw at my address to Congress, including Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Nancy Crazy Pelosi, and Weird Al Green. He's a weird dude. Oh, he should have been treated very badly for the way he behaved that night. Think of it, they didn't stand up. They didn't pay respect to anybody, including, think of it, you take a look at Laken Riley, you take a look at any of the people there, the parents of these incredible people, the young boy with cancer, serious cancer, wanted to be in a police department, would give anything to be a policeman someday. They refused to even applaud or acknowledge them. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. They sat as the stories were explained. 2 young ladies savagely killed by illegal aliens. They came into our country and they killed these 2 young ladies, and the Democrats sat there. They didn't smile. They didn't clap. They didn't do anything. I think you frankly win the midterms. Just all you have to do is show a picture of these grieving parents, uncontrollably grieving, and they didn't get one clap out of the whole group of them. They just sat there like stoic and disgraceful. And you show that in your commercials that you're going to be putting on, and you'll win every race that we have in this room. That was a bad night for them, and now they know it. They're trying to make up for it. But they're just, I don't know, something wrong with them. That's why every day from now until November 2026, we're going to fight to elect and expand the Republican majority of the House and save our country from these radical left lunatics. We will not be deterred. We will not stop. We will not yield, and we will never, ever back down. We're not going to back down. They would lose respect if you back down. They're the ones that back down. They're the ones that have lost their confidence. They're no good anymore. I saw politicians that were good politicians 4 years ago. They're not good politicians anymore. They've lost their confidence. They've totally lost their confidence. But they can get their confidence back, so you can't rely on that too much, I guess. Together we're liberating our country, reclaiming our wealth, unleashing our energy, protecting our children, rebuilding our military, repelling the invaders, deporting the criminals, destroying the gangs, and unlocking what history will know as the golden age of America. This is going to be the golden age of America. With your support, your commitment, and your help to elect more Republicans, we will finish the job that we have really brilliantly started. It's been a brilliant period of years, and we go back to 2016. It was brilliant. Then they stole it from us by illegally rigging the election, and we did great in that election, but we had to write it off, and we all went through hell. I went through hell in particular. Indictments. What we had to go through is hard to believe. Impeachments, 2 impeachments over nothing, over a phone call that was perfect. They knew it was perfect. And they found out after they realized that the calls were essentially taped by the government because you were talking to a foreign leader. And when that was played back, they didn't know what the hell to do. But they went forward with it anyway because they're sick people. The American dream will come roaring back in our country. Together, we're going to make America greater than it's ever been before. And I just want to thank you and congratulations on your record evening. And I'm with you all the way, and I'm going to be campaigning with you, and we're going to win, win, win like we've never won before. And thank you to your leadership. And Mike, great job. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much.
Wow, an absolutely powerful speech there in Washington, D.C. by the 47th President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief. And tonight had all the makings and the ingredients of a MAGA Trump rally. That was awesome. As you take a live look here in Auburn right now, that was quite awesome. If you missed any of that speech, all you have to do is scrub back right now on Rumble or YouTube, wherever you're watching, or just wait for the replay, which is going to be ready to go here at any second. That was quite the speech there. That, again, reminded me of rally coverage. But this time around, President Trump talking about the wins that have been happening over the past 78 days of his second administration and the wins that will happen in the midterms and beyond for the golden age of America. really powerful when he brought up the hostages as well. So if you're just joining us right now, you missed a lot, but that's all right. Go ahead and scrub back or just watch the entire replay of that speech. Really, really powerful. As it's 9:09 Eastern Time, Tuesday, April 8th. It's a historic time we're living in, and we're covering a historic president right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed, so join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.